Ladies and gentlemen and in-betweeners, on this week's On the Rocks, the cast of The Wendy Chronicles with Married with Children and Fright Night star turned TV director and activist Amanda Bearse is here, and Phil of the Future actor turned documentarian turned gender-fluid fashion maven Raviv Ullman is here, with stage and screen actress Lucy DeVito from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Deadbeat Leaves the Grass, and the comedian, just to name a few, and my guest co-host, the Dean of Cool Kids, writer, director, producer, and avid vodka drinker, Stan Zimmerman, responsible for your favorite scripts from The Golden Girls, Gilmore Girls, and Roseanne, and me, your favorite host with the sassy most. So raise a glass and let the drinks begin.
Thank you for being.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Lord have mercy, that was like a shaky start. Am I really loud now? What's happening? Buns and Bows and Pantyhose, On the Rocks podcast where it's too glam to give a damn. We are back from holiday vacation. Guess what I got for Christmas?
What? Tell us.
A hangover. Wah, wah.
Not your first, I'm sure.
Not my last, that's for damn sure. New Year's resolution's already broken, so congratulations to me.
What was it?
The usual.
Which is?
Lose 100 pounds in a week, stop drinking,
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on dry January and then immediately got booked on this show, so
Yeah.
it's
So
over.
that's, yeah.
It's
Equality vodka.
It's a sign. Oh, God, we're going to clip
Look
that.
at her.
Equality vodka.
There we go. She's so good.
She's
so
been
good.
practicing
Yes.
that all week.
Should I do it again?
Equality vodka.
Equality vodka brought to you by
Equality. vodka.
Equality vodka.
And welcome, Kurt, our engineer. Kurt, welcome back from vacation. Do you have a pun for us today?
I always have a pun for you.
Make it fast. We got some fabulous people here.
All right, it's okay to borrow a book from the public library once in a while, but try not to overdo it.
I like the library.
You do?
I am a fan.
What was the last time you were at a library?
That last year. This year's only been a minute.
2019?
That 2019 year, yeah.
Do you know? Does anybody know?
Absolutely.
Do you need to be a resident of the city to have a library?
To me to take a book
They're
out?
just so thankful that people are walking in the doors.
Yeah,
You
they're
could be
like,
from a
here,
different
take a
country.
stack.
Yeah.
I got my New York Public Library, but I don't have L.A. and now I'm
Just
here.
brag.
I don't think the
Alright.
New York's good for the LA.
It doesn't.
But I think
do
they'll
it.
They'll
give you an
transfer
LA.
over?
Do I need to bring like
Plus,
a?
there's like New York books,
of-
and then us in LA are like, where's the comic books? Like,
Right.
yeah, there's
Right
there's a
here.
little
They're all
difference.
movie scripts. You know,
Right.
I went
there's
to a
no
library
book.
recently and there were no books.
All
What were they?
audio.
Like there was so many. There was just like empty stacks.
Just an iPad.
That's weird. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you
'cause
sure it was the
everything's-
library and not the bank?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, Lucy.
Yeah, she's there with her passbook. Well, thank you for that, Kurt. That was certainly enlightening. Thank you to our sober listeners for tuning in. We love you too. Thank you for holding a hair back and driving us home New Year's Eve. But if you are drinking, the official vodka of On the Rocks is Equality Vodka. 20% from every bottle sold helps fund nonprofits that work to secure equality for everyone. Visit them at equalityvodka.com and on social media. Okay, the show is brought to you by Straw Hut Media and Here TV. You can watch or listen to every one of our now 199 episodes.
Wow.
On the Rocks Radioshow.com. New episodes drop every Thursday. Hello to our listeners around the nation on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Roku, Pandora. Watch us on YouTube and Here TV. We are streaming on the Facebook pages of Trending Now, GD Magazine, I Love Gay LGBT, and of course on the Rocks Radio Show Facebook. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast player. Like us on all of our social media. Our next episode is our big 200 episode, and we have a show for you. We will be interviewing John Waters' divas, Tracy Lords and Mink Stoll. We have Coco Peru, RuPaul's Eureka O'Hara, Chi-Chi DeVane, and Ginger Minch with adult film star Wesley Woods in one episode.
Wow.
Tracy Lords was on Married with Children.
Yes, she was.
She's a lovely girl.
Women
And
behind
she's done
bars.
everything.
They're all doing the play.
So
Very
we're
excited.
actually broadcasting from their rehearsal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
At the Doolittle. Or
at the Montalban.
Montalban, sorry.
You know, he can never put Latino names in his mouth.
Yes, I
Montalban.
can. As often as possible.
You just can't cast friends.
Oh.
Latinos.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Except for Rockinell.
Well, yeah.
Thank you for
and then she wins an award.
Thank you for introducing me to her.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So Stan invited me to one of his infamous readings at his house, right?
Oh yeah.
The
And
craft services at those, and I'm so excited because I'm like, finally I get to read a role for Stan Zimmerman. He's like, would you like to read the stage directions? And then halfway through, he's like, you don't need to read anymore.
Oh my goodness.
that's not how I remember it.
That's
but anyway.
exactly how it happened.
Well, he just, hooked Mindy Cohn to do it. So she's
Yeah.
good at it.
yeah.
great.
He gets the best
Yeah,
for that.
she's-
For
Yeah.
that role.
Stage
Yes.
directions are very important when you're doing a reading.
Right, because you have to put some feeling into it. It's like,
You have to put a
She
lot.
walked
And you
It's
have
actually
to,
Actually,
a
it's
timing
the-
thing.
and you
Yeah.
drive the show.
It's actually
And
the
as
hardest.
as a writer, you
hardest thing to do.
Yeah,
is
you
to
do take
read the
time
stage
into like
directions.
what are the words?
Lucy's my girl. Like, she's making me feel better, and she's
No.
shouting at our sponsors. Lucy, I'll do a reading
Equality
for you
of
anytime.
She wants one to take home, obviously.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We'll arrange
I'm
for you
all
all.
for
Oh,
equality.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Equality vodka. Yeah.
It's actually really smooth and no joke. I'm notorious for hangovers. No hangover. And we drink a lot on the show.
But I have a question. When it says 80 proof, what does that mean?
100 proof, you're dead.
Okay,
like
there you
100 proof
go.
is gasoline, basically.
Okay.
You know how you have like a what are the kids drinking now? White Claw? It's like 0.0005. Why bother?
Oh, okay.
There's like no alcohol in it. And everyone's like, oh, I'm drunk on
so
White
it's
Claw.
a
No, you're not,
percentage.
bitch.
It's a percentage of alcohol. in it?
Yes,
I
yeah.
got
Proof is where you
White
want to be.
Okay.
This is a sweet
I
spot.
don't know. I don't drink that much.
You not-
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
right.
Okay, so did you guys have like an
Where's that
after
laugh
wine
track,
thing,
Simon?
opening night of the Wendy Chronicles?
Yeah.
Did you notice how all the bottles of wine disappeared?
They did, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, but I was not in charge
You are
of supplying
always the
them.
one.
No, I'm
that's,
not in charge.
And you're like, you should come read in one of my stage readings in my house. You can do the stage anyway.
It's exciting because it feels like
I'm
you guys have a lot
lost.
to unpack.
Yes,
I'm
you do.
lost.
Yeah.
What does it mean? He takes the
No,
leftover?
he drinks so much of it.
It's kind of like a priest that has
is
to
not
finish
true.
the. You
Yes.
wouldn't know that,
Avid
but
vodka
yeah.
drinker.
I was raised Catholic.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Episcopalian.
That's why I'm
over
walking
here.
funny.
I'm,
Yep.
I'm Catholic light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a lot of religion because there's religion here. Okay, let's get the show on the road. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will show up. info@ontherocksradioshow.com. Send us your questions, your nudes, and your comments. Okay, let me reintroduce my co-host for today. Holding the record as the most appearances on the Rocks radio show,
Wow.
even if he's not invited. I'm just teasing. You're always invited,
oh,
Stan
yes.
Zimmerman.
We've had. Where's the applause? Come on.
Oh.
Jesus Christ! Got to do it ourselves.
We've
had
you killed
some-
him.
There you go.
There we
We've
go.
had some amazing Lainey Kazan, Ileana Douglas.
Barry Bostwick.
Oh, we had some great people
Yeah.
there. Andrea Bowen. We brought them
Tippy
all.
Hedren. Did you do the
I
Tippy
did-
Hedren?
no.
Oh, but the Lainey
Thanks a
Kazan one
lot.
was.
That was interesting.
Yeah, it was like 10 in the morning. She's like, "Where's my vodka and a bagel?" Like that's no joke. And then she shoplifted, but that's okay. Welcome back. True story. Her assistant
Details,
was so cute, by the way.
details.
Yeah, you guys. This show's gonna be like 5 hours long. It's gonna be like year 2, episode 199. But for those of you that don't know, and I don't know if you guys know this, beginning his career as a ballet dancer on Broadway. Did you guys know?
No.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
On
I
Broadway?
studied at Joffrey, and I did appear on Broadway
Whoa.
with Rudolph Nureyev and the Joffrey Ballet at the Mark Hellinger Theater, which is now a church. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Wow.
I used to buy $2 seats to the Joffrey when they were at New York City Center, but you
yeah.
weren't there, Stan. So
No,
I'm
I
not really
wasn't.
sure your
Sorry.
story is true.
Yeah.
And Nureyev? What the?
Nureyev, that's how you pronounce
Okay,
it.
Nureyev.
I
Everybody
know.
says Nureyev.
Thank you. And every time I-
Nureyev?
Those
Yeah.
of us
That's
that
the
have worked
first
with
time
him,
I've heard that.
but we
Fancy
were,
pants
but
over
we
here.
were given a memo in the show and said, "Do not speak with him." So we would not talk to him. But then he started coming up to us and talking to us, and
I
he
bet
was
he
very
did.
sweet.
Did he wink at you?
I wish.
Well, now he uses that same memo for his.
Yeah,
for
do
his
not
people. It's like,
talk to me.
You can't
Yeah.
look at him in the eye.
yeah, it was very exciting.
There's one fuzzy picture of him in the ballet. It's like really fuzzy, but you can't see anything.
I didn't know that.
It was cold on that stage.
It was. But it was so
Do
exciting.
you still have your dance cup?
I have my dance belt if anybody wants to see
Yeah.
it. There you go.
That'll be in the
I
Smithsonian one day.
I have washed it, but it probably just fit around my
You
wrist
can't
now.
wash it. That ruins all the value.
But I mean, you all have experienced it. Walking out of a stage door, and especially on a
Stage
Broadway,
belt or dance belt?
it
No.
was very exciting, even though
Yeah.
people weren't caring about me. But there was just something thrilling as an NYU student to go to a Broadway theater at night and do this thing and then go back to the dorm. It was really kind of
Yeah.
crazy experience.
Yeah. But Stan left his tights up to dry to become a Swiss Army knife of entertainment, writer, director, producer, reality TV personality, and good friend. One of his first jobs writing for season season 1 of The Golden Girls led to such TV shows as Fame, Wanda at Large, Rita Rocks, Gilmore Girls, Roseanne, the musical of Annie with Audra McDonald, Kristen Chenoweth, and Kathy Bates.
Alan Cumming.
And Alan Cumming. He turned to the stage. No, we love Alan Cumming. Except he had relations with who I had on the show last time. So
Ooh.
No, I can't say. Just look at who was on
What
the show
about
last time.
Pauly?
Yeah.
You left out Pauly.
298.
We can, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but he returned. He turned to the stage with his directing and writing projects, and they have featured a myriad of stars from stage and screen, including his controversial production of Anne Frank and his project Right Before I Go, a very personal piece with performances by Ellen Burstyn, Judith Light, Alice Ripley, Vanessa Williams, and Raviv Ullman. Wanting world domination, he has also written, directed, and produced web series such as Skirt Chasers and Sex as an Execs. Once again, featuring a troupe of your favorite actors. Not me, that garnered Emmy recognition. His latest project, The Wendy Chronicles, is a 3-play tribute to Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award-winning feminist playwright Wendy Wasserstein, now playing at the Braid in Santa Monica. Once again, featuring a bevy of talent. Not me. Please welcome back the man who would tell me I'm drinking too much while he pours himself another glass of wine, Stan Zimmerman. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. Okay. Cross that off, right.
Yeah. Boom, boom,
Jesus
boom.
Christ.
It's like
I
half
did
a
have someone
page.
say to me, like, can you, like, bring your resume down a
I
little
had to
bit?
cut it
like,
so
we
much.
We can't even,
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
there you go.
Well,
But
you've done a
I'm
lot.
that
Everybody
old,
here
yeah.
has done so much.
They have.
So, but I want to know, and I don't know if you guys have ever sat in a writing room, and I'm sure that you have. What exactly happens in a writer's room? I don't understand from
Chaos.
the outside. But
Total
it's like
chaos.
this script written by 5 different writers. Like, does everybody write a line?
It
like,
depends. Each show's very different.
Do a line,
some
write a line?
shows, you know, you do go off and do a first draft, and then each show is different. It depends on who the showrunner is, and you can do a group rewrite, or some people you do a draft. And like with Amy Sherman Palladino and Gilmore Girls, and you worked with her on Mrs. Maisel, she would take a draft and just go off and light candles. She'd have like 5,000 candles on her table, and she'd wear a top hat, and she would rewrite scripts.
So they pick one person to do the
To do
kind
each
of,
episode.
Oh, I
yes.
see.
But the whole room kind of like you break a story, and that's called you figure out the arc and the storyline. And then you go off and you write the first draft, and you bring it in. Everyone comments on it, and
Do people volunteer for the draft, or do you kind of think
someti-
that would be a good one
well,
for
if you
write?
pitch something, then they're like, okay, you go off and you do that one. Or if like it was the lesbian kiss episode, obviously
But you won
Jim
a
and I were going to write
WGA
nomination. Like that was like we were going to be writing that one, obviously. So it just depends, and you want someone that feels something because they're going to have to go off and write it in a rather quick time period.
It would just be weird to me to like create a project and then have like 5 other writers like dissect it and be like, no, that doesn't work, blah, blah, blah.
You
blah.
have to leave ego at the door. I
And
mean,
you
it's
got to
a
have
group
it
effort.
punched up.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
always about
That's the
that.
great thing, and you've all been on sitcoms.
Well, in the
and-
episode of, I can't remember the name of the show now, Kirstie Alley's show.
Veronica's Closet.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That I directed,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Amy Sherman Palladino
Yeah.
wrote. The whole thing was rewritten during the taping.
Oh wow.
She has some stories about that show.
Amazing.
Yeah, she does.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Do they still get paid?
Amanda,
Do they like take back your paycheck?
Amanda was on my Bravo reality show that Sean Hayes produced called Situation Comedy.
You guys, one of the very first reality TV projects that Bravo did, and now we know what Bravo's doing with
yeah.
reality TV. You're part of the foundation.
I invented the reunion show. I just want you to know that. Because nobody was watching the show, and we got to, it was a contest, and it was like, we have to announce the winners. It was like, well, we don't have any money. I said, just give us a studio, a space, and we would get a couch, and we'll invite the people back, and we'll show
Reunions
clips.
are the best. Reunions are the best part of
And
the shows.
that was how that happened. And Andy
You mean
Cohen,
the Housewives hadn't done reunions
No, and
yet?
Andy
Housewives
Cohen was.
hadn't even been
Oh,
around.
no, because Andy
Cohen was an
in the
executive.
room.
He was an executive
and
on
you
the
know what? When
show.
I saw him, when he guested on the Biggest Sketch
Yeah.
Show, because he came in we had a Housewives of Warren Jeffs sketch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's fabulous. And we got Andy to come in and
cool.
Bethany.
Bethany, yeah,
Yes,
Frankel,
and
Love Bethany.
yeah, and this was right after
not
the
coming
first
back.
season of
I
Housewives.
know.
Well,
You
she
watched
might.
that
Okay,
still?
it's happened
Still?
before.
Okay.
Oh, I do.
New York is one of the
New
only
York
ones.
is the best one.
I
New York
watched
is
New
the
York
best.
and Beverly Hills.
I don't know. There's something about women fighting and drinking and throwing things.
Oh, but it's
and
better when
No.
gay men do it? Okay.
No, New York.
Well, that's called dating in L.A.
I may
yeah.
be biased, but I think New York's the most interesting.
New York is the
Because
best.
they're
all-
smart women, they're actual business owners.
And it's
they're-
all just
mean,
hideous too on
They're
some level.
horrible people.
You
but
guys, poor Raviv is like,
I know.
I literally
Who?
have never,
What?
I haven't seen an episode of any
That's
of
you're
these.
probably
Do I need
Anyway,
to start?
better
Andy
person
came up
out
to
of
me and
any-
Such
said,
an
"We
angel.
met before," and I said, "We have."
Yes, you didn't know he
And-
was an executive on that show?
No, I didn't remember.
Okay.
people don't remember Andy Cohen until they remember Andy Cohen. Because now Andy Cohen is a persona, where before he was like a worker.
Yeah, he was in the room as an executive.
Yeah,
yeah,
he
yeah.
auditioned
And
me in a meeting. I didn't know it was an
Oh,
audition.
we don't want to
It
hear
was
about
just,
that. No.
Two bottoms don't make a right, Amanda. Come on.
Hey,
What kind of show is that going to be?
He auditioned me. Is that a verb?
I can't say that.
Okay, whatever.
Me too. No, no, sorry.
Well, there we go. The show just took a turn.
Yeah.
But I want to. You were part of network TV before, like the Hulu's, Netflix, all of that. But now even the way networks do sitcoms, especially, has definitely changed. How has the culture?
And Amanda was there at that same time.
Yeah.
Which is interesting in Wendy Chronicles. You and Mindy Cohn and me, we were all kind of.
That's right.
I've never met Mindy Cohn until this show.
Oh,
and yet
that's
Mindy
weird.
and Amanda were in the same.
We were in the same rehearsal hall.
She
and we
heard the
never
screaming from your.
Okay, but that wasn't that screaming.
It was screaming
That
because
was that
it's a
happened
loud
at
show.
the Sony lot.
Yeah, okay.
The other was at Gower, and it was just the show. You know, ours was a little baudy.
Yeah, it was a little
Yeah.
A little bawdier than Facts of
Yes,
Life.
yeah.
Good job.
A little bit.
But how has the culture changed the most? Like what is so prevalent now that would never have been a thing back in original network days?
Everything. I mean, just the things I've been involved with, like the lesbian kiss episode, that became a news story, that you couldn't have two women kiss for like 3 seconds. We couldn't show it. So there have been so many advances from just back in those days, and that you had to care about what the networks and what the sponsors would say, and it's just much more open.
But we've had a lot of guest stars, big names that have guest starred on sitcoms from the 70s all the way to current days, and they say that the culture is totally different, that now it's like film. You don't actually get to enjoy the process. Directors don't even pay attention to you, and you don't really bond with like the co-stars, and that it's now turned into like an assembly line.
That's single camera work. So we come from old school multicam, and Married with Children was the last show out of Embassy, which was Norman Lear's company, and it is. I just call it old school because it was. And there are a couple of producers who are still doing it that way, but for the most part, it's single camera and shot like a film on the street.
Yeah.
But also, it changed really with Seinfeld because you used to write, we used to do 2 acts that might have a couple of scenes or
Right,
3
and then it
scenes
became 3
in
acts.
each
Yes.
one, right. And then with Seinfeld, it became 20 scenes in one show.
And Murphy Brown became 3 acts in it.
Yeah.
But because I've had so many horrible experiences, I wanted to, like when I got a show, which was Rita Rock, which is where I met Raviv.
Yeah.
I'm having a party. We worked so hard. So Raviv and I would host a party after at the taping every Friday night, and we would switch off DJing and we would dance.
that.
And it was just really fun because
you DJ'd?
Tell him.
He did.
Tell
He-
him.
he
There's
did.
actually a picture of you at behind a DJ, and you're like shirtless.
At Sunset. Yeah, I had some arms.
You guys,
I
you
haven't
guys
seen
have
that
to Google
one.
this.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh my God.
DJ Stan, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah,
Like,
I did
that's
do
what was
that
happening.
with LPs. I think you came at Sunset. Did you
Yeah,
come?
yeah. We shot at CBS Radford,
Yes.
and yeah, it was this
We
thing
got
where
crazy.
it felt old school in a way where it was very family oriented. Where at the end of every episode on a Friday night we did the taping, and then somehow this table of alcohol showed up.
Yes.
And
I don't know how.
Who knows? Probably Stan Zimmerman.
But I wanted people to enjoy it and look forward to, because you work so hard and create a family experience, because
Yeah.
I've been so many awful.
It was, and it did. I mean, which just is kind of the proof of the trickle down. Whoever's at the top kind of sets the tone.
Yeah. And I think there's that kind of bonding on set even more, from what I've heard, from what we've heard here on the show. There's, in between takes, people are dun, 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 they're listening to their PR, they're going, and it's just not happening the way that it
Well,
used to.
and every show has its own personality.
Yeah, of course.
So even back in the day,
Yes.
there were no
What
dance
day was
parties.
that?
There were no dance parties.
not on your show.
Yes.
No.
But did we on Polly? You did not. You just failed to.
It's just like
to
getting
put,
through that. No, we had a good time. So I met her because her agent was like, hire her. And
Yeah,
I didn't
well,
know you,
so-
but I knew of her, but I didn't know her.
Yeah.
And he did a hard sell,
and
I
it was your
trusted
first
him.
show. Was you were showrunning?
Yes, I had done some pilots, but it was the first show, and just we madly fell in love. And
What show was this? This was on
Pauly Shore show.
Pauly Shore.
It was just called Polly.
Yeah, there you go. And it was
At that time,
literally
you could just say
okay.
Polly, people
Duke,
knew.
come
No,
on,
but
David Duke.
Okay, but here's the thing. So we sold this. We wrote a script on spec. We sold it to Fox, and they said we want a companion piece for Married with Children, and they've been trying for years, and they never had found it.
Yeah.
So that's why when they said, "Do you want to do it film or tape?" and I said, "Well, your show is tape. If it's a true companion piece, it should look like that show." But unfortunately, at that time, the world had just gone to film. And so we felt a little antiquated in that respect, and it looked more like a film. It should have been a film show, but There you go.
Was that still single multicam?
Multi-
It was
Multicam,
all,
yeah.
But on
live
actual
studio,
film.
Yeah,
live
Amy
studio.
Hill was on it. We had a great cast: Charlotte Ross, David Duke. I mean, we had like this amazing cast of actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To support him.
Yeah, and she came on.
Yeah, I did. I did a few. He gave me
Yeah,
a job. He
yeah.
gave me a job. He still you show up every few years in my live stand and,
And
give me a
change
job.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
that's
there's no more paycheck like that. That was a huge.
That was a huge paycheck.
No.
Yeah. But you know what she did, which was so
Relatively
cool, which I've
speaking.
never seen anybody do? She had show gifts.
Show bribes.
Joe Bribes. I
Yeah.
should have
That's
brought
the
it.
classy
She
word.
gave towels to
I
everyone.
gave.
Remember
I did
What
that,
was that?
on every show.
That's so
That's-
nice.
Which
that's
I
classy
had.
really
remember?
nice.
Yeah.
It just said a lot
yeah,
about you.
But
Yeah.
it was a bribe. I started when I got my first shot at it on Married with Children, right? But it was like, thank you, and then it just kept going.
I'm gonna bring
and
the
I went
poly
broke.
towel
I'm,
in
I'm
Sunday.
broke because of it. But I also
Because
would
of
say,
towels.
Here, here's your show bribe.
It
And
worked.
if you fuck up, I take it back. Okay, so you do good for me, you get to keep the gift.
And then when I got my reality show, I was like, I wanted her to come direct in
Well,
a
what a
Fred
great
Savage.
personality. Yeah.
And I knew
Yeah,
you'd be
but I
good.
didn't get the winning team.
Sorry.
I'm just saying. I
Whatever.
think, whatever. But I think that was.
You did get the winning team.
Those-
On that note, we're going to take our infamous mid-show selfie that you can see at On the Rocks on Air, and when we come back, we formally introduce our guest, and we talk about everything there is to know about everybody. All right, when we come back. All right, you guys have to crowd in, because I'm so
This
bad
is
at this.
going to be like a 5-hour
5
show.
hours show.
No.
Where are we going?
Okay, so you guys have to crouch in.
Oh,
stand.
ow, where am I
stand.
going?
No, there you go. There you go. Poor Lucy is like, what the fuck?
What did I get myself into?
All right, and we're back. Let's formally meet our guest, Lucy DeVito, a graduate of Brown University, an actress and producer, originally from LA. Whoa, an LA native. She has graced the stages of both New York and LA with a myriad of acclaimed performances. Film appearances include The Comedian, with Patti LuPone, by the way, Leaves of Grass, Can You Ever Forgive Me, The Curmudgeons, which she also produced and premiered at Tribeca. And on TV, you've seen her in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Deadbeat, Shameless, Girls, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Melissa and Joey. I still have a crush on Joey Lawrence, by the way. That's crazy. Please welcome Lucy DeVito.
Hello.
Also joining us, Raviv Ullman was born in Israel into an eclectic family that sounds like a joke setup. A teacher, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and a rabbi walk into a bar. That's like a true story, right?
It's true.
His first professional stage role was in the national touring company of The King and I. He's worked with New York's most premier theater companies, including Roundabout, Atlantic, Second Stage, and The New Group. Has played both musical and dramatic roles in various regional theater productions, including Dead End at the Amundsen Theater in Los Angeles.
I saw it.
Did you?
I didn't know him, but he was so good. And it was a beautiful production. So the orchestra pit, for musical, they filled that with water, and you all jumped into it.
It was pretty cool. We
I
had
think
like
I
a
saw that
secret
too.
entrances into the pool, so we could dive. We had to learn how to dive into the orchestra pit and then disappear for like 10 minutes,
That's
crazy.
and then
What was
show
that
back
And
tech
up.
did they
like?
warm the water?
You
How'd
had
they
to
do that?
hold your breath.
We had to for 10 minutes.
No.
But I'm
No.
committed.
I'd be
No.
done.
Stop it.
You'd see this body floating up. But of course, TV audiences know Raviv as Ricky, by the way, from Disney Channel's television series Phil of the Future. He has guest starred on LA Law and Order SVU. Of course, if you're in New York as a theater actor, you have to do Law and Order SVU. That's So Raven, Rita Rock's House, and Big Love. His directorial documentary debut, Standing Ground, covering the Standing Rock protest, is in post-production now, funded by crowdfunding, by the way.
Yeah.
Great story. And above all these achievements, we cannot forget his kiss with Kim Kardashian. Please welcome Raviv Ullman.
It is very good to be
Wow.
here.
What's that?
Yeah, talk about that one.
Yeah.
You guys can't see, but we're actually showing pictures of everything I'm talking about. So we have the
Oh.
picture of you kissing Kim Kardashian.
It happened.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about
Yeah,
that for a
let's-
minute.
yeah.
Pause.
It was not in earnest. It was I did an MTV pilot. It was like the 30 Rock of MTV. So it was like the making of and making fun of TRL.
Yeah.
And I played the host. And Kim Kardashian, they didn't have the Kardashians yet. It was not yet a show. She was fresh off her sex tape, and
Let's kiss that, shall we?
yeah, and she played, they hired her to play my girlfriend. And so there's quite a few scenes of us making out. in
How
the
was the
background.
kissing?
How was it? She actually, I have to say,
Can you show us
I don't
the
know
picture?
much. She was very gracious and wonderful.
Open mouth?
Yeah, I believe
All right.
so.
Let's see this picture because you actually have long hair. There
I
you
have
are.
long,
And she's
straightened
looking
hair.
at that.
Wait, which one's Kim?
Wait, that's
Nice.
you on the left?
Yeah.
Let's see your butt.
Oh,
Okay.
Wow.
We're not-
Wow.
I don't
Oh, we don't
believe
have
that.
the actual kissing one because it was a
Yeah,
little
they're
blurry.
not kissing.
Yeah.
on that picture. But it happened. And then I made it. And then I posted it afterwards, and it.
And what happened?
People got upset.
Because he said sloppy seconds. And
I said this thing that I know that now I made a mistake. I made a mistake and I shouldn't have. I said Kanye West got my sloppy seconds, and that was a rude thing to say.
Why is that rude?
Because it's mean to Kim. That she's like, I understand now. I meant it as a joke.
Objectification
A little
of women.
objectification,
Get it.
yeah.
I get it.
And I didn't think about it at the time,
But it
am
is kind
sorry.
of funny. So.
Yeah.
Of course it's funny.
If it's funny, you can get away
You
with
keep
it.
getting in trouble online and
Sorta.
doing things, right? And posting things.
Hey,
I
that's
get in
smart.
trouble.
That is smart.
More than once. I can think of 2 times. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember the other time, but I am in trouble all the time.
Yeah.
Hanging around Stan Zimmerman long
Yeah,
enough, you know?
you get in trouble.
It's
Yeah.
true. But very welcome to your debut
It is
on the
so
Rocks.
nice to be here for the first time.
And it's so, like meeting you in person. It's yeah.
There you go. Okay.
You've done good, boy. Okay. Also making her debut on the show, I've been a big fan for years, Amanda Bearse. After graduating the neighborhood playhouse under Sanford Meisner, she began her professional acting career in New York on All My Children, which just celebrated 50 years. Not You, the soap opera. You Are Timeless. She co-starred in the cult horror
kind.
film. Truly, cult horror film Fright Night, and you guys have to look at the pictures of that in the prosthetics opposite Chris Sarandon, followed by another classic playing Marcy Darcy. Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Fake tits.
that's a Tinder profile
teeth
I've
are
ever
real,
seen.
though.
It. Yeah.
No, I had to get molded. My chest had to get molded. Seriously,
Are you
because I was
serious?
kind of skinny then. And then
So what do they do?
when she gets bitten, she just she gets voluptuous, and so,
So
they
they put,
built
like,
this
stuff
gown.
on you?
They plastered me. It was like
Naked?
these 4 nerd
Topless?
guys at 4 a.m. and some down.
down.
Yes, they put plaster on me, Stan, and then they molded him, and
Yeah.
I actually kept him in a See's candy box for years.
Where are
after
they
You
now?
still have
I
them?
actually I let him go.
Oh.
I did. I let him go. But
But-
they put little rosin things on the nipples and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so,
fans are still
but
crazy
that
for
was
Fright
like
Night.
the beginning of my transition because it went from there to like.
It went really like this whole like jaw of teeth.
It did.
And of course, we know her from Married with Children. She then stepped behind the camera, launching her directing career in episodic television. Numerous decades of sitcoms and sketch comedies later, you never know where she's going to pop up, what city she's going to pop up. She worked with Rosie O'Donnell to create Logo's Big Gay Sketch Show, the first LGBT comedy sketch show on TV that helped launch the careers of Saturday Night Live's Kate McKinnon and past On the Rocks guests Julie Goldman, Erica Ashe, and Johnny McGovern. After 35 years in entertainment, she made her off-Broadway directing as well as acting debut with Party Face, coming full circle with her work in theater. She's an activist and a role model for many groups and generations. Please welcome Amanda Bearse.
Yes.
Thank
Cheers
you.
to you.
I need a nap.
There's so much here, and the resumes here. So many different projects, from theater to web series to big projects to smaller projects. And Ravi, I just have to know, starting off, your very first like major role from school roles, whatever, a touring production of The King and I. How old were you?
I was 11. I turned 12. Yeah, I was auditioning. I was living in Connecticut with my family and auditioning in the city. I think I'll still hold this against my parents. I booked the role of Gavroche in the touring company of Les Mis, but we did not
For The
know
King and I?
but we didn't know how to do it because both my parents worked, and so we couldn't figure it out. And shortly after that, my grandfather kind of took the role of guardian.
So he
So
would
he
go on
traveled
tour
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that whole tour. I did a 10-month tour with my grandfather
And who
around
played?
the country.
Was Haley Mills in that tour?
Yeah, Haley Mills.
You worked
She
with
was
Haley
my
Mills.
lead in Party
See
Face.
the connections here?
Yeah.
So
Really?
you know
Yeah.
Firdos.
I know Firdos, and they're
Yes.
still together.
I know. I was just.
That's incredible.
Yes.
So Haley and
It's a
Firdos
small
got
industry.
together
On
on
that
that
show, and that
Yeah.
was like 20 years ago.
You did
or
that
something.
at it was at MTC, right?
Well, it was at
City
Stage
Center.
2. It wasn't an MTC production.
Okay.
But she.
Let's
honey,
just go to the
she-
smokehouse,
My
should we?
8-year-old
Yeah.
self.
Oh, freaking out. My same.
Haley Mills was it.
Oh, yeah.
And I went all fangirl on her. And she is the loveliest.
She's so
most
wonderful.
funny, fabulous
And
woman.
she left at some point, and Marie Osmond came on.
Oh, my God.
So we had Marie, and then we had.
Was Lou Diamond Phillips doing the?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. I think he did the Broadway. I mean, we were the touring production, but he
Okay.
didn't. Talk about changes. We had Victor Talmadge, who was like a white Jewish guy from New York, playing the Siamese king.
Couldn't happen
and
today.
Went through
No,
2 hours
no,
of,
no.
of makeup to
Oh,
play the
wow.
part. Yeah, and it wasn't an issue then, but now obviously that's not.
So your grandfather
okay.
traveled with you. It was like Willy Wonka and the Charlie Factory, like traveling with your grandfather. What did you learn most from traveling from city to city at such a young age, and like that being your first experience? When you're on a touring production, you don't really get to like enjoy the cities. Like you're literally performing all
Well,
the
as
time.
a kid especially, I think the adults got to spend their days traveling around and seeing the city, but we were in school. We traveled with 12 kids, and so we were in school
Oh, that is a big
all
kid
day,
cast, yeah.
of five days a week, and then did the shows at night. So I really didn't see many of the cities. If we were somewhere for longer than a week, then I remember I do have great memory. I went like dog sled riding with my grandfather in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, and we saw some cool stuff. But I just fell in love with theater all the more. Like,
Did
it was
you
my
stay in
first
touch with
professional-
friends from elementary school? Because you just like disappeared, right?
I disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
No. Enough with them. Yes.
A little bit. I just finished private school. I went to like Jewish day school, and then this was 6th grade, and I had 2 weeks of 6th grade in public school, and then got this role and left, and then I was gone for a year, and so I came back, and then we moved, and so I started a new school. So I didn't really know those people very well, but
That's a lot, though, to happen to, I think, a kid. Not only are you in a major production and have to deal with the 8 shows a week, I'm assuming you guys did 8 shows a week,
Yeah.
but then traveling, and it's kind of lonely on the road, too. I mean, your family is your touring production, but it's still lonely because...
I guess so. But I find that about any production you do. That I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but any job, like the family of the job becomes the family. And we've only done one weekend of this, and
and
already I
almost-
feel very
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
to all of you. And
That's exactly right. You do. You come together in a production, and
For good or bad.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
some are more
Yeah.
dysfunctional
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
others.
But yeah,
But
you
yeah,
get very close.
especially in theater.
Yeah.
especially in theater, because
Yeah.
you're making something in the
And you
moment
guys are
every
tired
day.
together. You have bad audiences together.
Yeah.
Well, not us, but yes.
No.
We had
gosh.
great
No, but like on the
audiences.
road, you'll have
Yes.
some cities that are great touring cities.
Yeah, all you got is each other, and I think that's for film, for television, for
Yeah.
stage. You do. There's a crazy bond that happens.
Which there's always that presentational self you have, like I'm a writer on this, I'm an actor on this, I'm a director on this. You have to be professional, rather than the loneliness I'm talking about is like in your personal life where people just know you, where you can be like a mess up, or you could sit and play Nintendo all day or burp. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. At
There's-
11 years old, I had no idea who I was.
Yeah.
though. So I mean, I still
Were
have no
you
idea
the one
who I was.
pushing, like, I want to audition, or was it your parents? How did that start?
Yeah, I was. It was me. I was allowed to audition. I was allowed to act.
But what made you even
professionally
think,
if
like, I have to go to this audition? Like, who came up
Peter
with that
Pan
idea?
did it, right?
Yeah, Peter Pan. I
Yeah.
auditioned
You
for,
said, I have to do this?
I saw a community theater production, kids camp production of Amelia Bedelia at the
God,
local
that's a
library.
name from the
I
past.
love
Wow.
When I was
Kids don't know who that is anymore.
And
by
you were
the
like,
way.
I have to do this?
I saw. Well, I had been. This is embarrassing. I had been like doing shows for literally for stuffed animals in my house. I would put on shows, and then I saw
Oh.
real kids putting on a real show in a real library.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh my God, it's possible. I can do it too." And then I auditioned for that camp the following year, and I got the role of Peter in Peter Pan, and that was it. And I remember there was one. I had no 2 front teeth. There was one show that I peed my stockings.
tights?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I do that on Friday night, but that's just me going
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, it started a long tradition.
Yeah, there you go. Before every show. Yeah.
So when Stan was young, he used to program whole schedules of TV programming.
I created my own network in my
Yeah.
bedroom.
And he
you
had
really?
the time
in
slots.
Southfield, Michigan, yes. And I would take shows that I love Lily Tomlin, so I felt she deserved
You guys, look at this picture of Stan.
to have. Oh my God. That was my
A
first.
beauty.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
my
wow.
Godspell period.
That is a
looks
gospel
like
cover.
I could
A
sing.
little
That
like
was-
Rita Rudner.
That was my
hair.
dream, was to do Godspell, but I couldn't sing, so there you go. But in my bedroom, I created my own network, and if shows got canceled, and like Lily Tomlin, I felt deserved her own variety
Yeah.
show, so I put her on Friday nights at 10 o'clock, and she had an hour show.
It's interesting that you were thinking not only about writing shows and
But
creating
creating it,
but
for a
actually
network.
yeah, like
Scheduling, yeah.
scheduling and
I had
building.
a board in my room.
At what age?
Like 10 to 15. I know, isn't that insane? Yeah.
I don't think I knew that was a thing, like that scheduling and
Oh
network.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had.
How
How
did
did you know that?
I had
'Cause
weekly
it was-
variety sent to my house, and I just memorized.
And TV
literally,
Guide,
and
too.
TV Guide.
Yeah.
I
Who
loved
planted
TV
that
Guide.
seed for you?
I was just obsessed, and I was like, my father went to New York and he brought back a variety, and I was like, oh my God, it says like every theater and the grosses of the Broadway shows. And I would memorize literally.
That was
what
social media
shows-
back then. That was like, how many
Yes.
likes do we have?
Or
like that was
TV
it.
Guide. It
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
all
yeah.
those shows. So I
Yep.
started a TV news column at my junior high, and I would just literally steal from TV Guide that other people didn't know where it was coming from, and that was my news. And there you go.
And that's the way you write. You
Yeah,
steal from
I-
other people.
Like Wendy Wasserstein. There you go. I did actually. Seeing her write about women,
Yeah.
I think changed how I write and think. And
So, and talking about first like major roles, that was your first major project of many. Lucy, your first major role, you waited till after college to really like get into the acting, and then the first kind of major role you had was in Leaves of Grass, and then you play opposite Ed Norton. And I know you studied theater at Brown, but now you're on a film set with Ed Norton, and you're sharing these scenes. Do you remember your first day of filming? Mm-hmm. Were you peeing your pants? Were you peeing your
Yes.
tights?
Well, not only was I like, I was very overwhelmed by it all. I had to speak Latin, and I had to take off my shirt.
oh no.
So no,
Wow.
it was funny. It wasn't like a. It was a good comedic.
Do you mind if we take a peek, Kurt? Can we
Oh,
just
no.
take a peek here from Leaves of Grass?
Oh God.
Oh no.
Do we have a clip?
Yeah,
Oh my
yes.
gosh, this is so exciting.
Yes, we do.
So I was thinking about doing a sort of contrast between dialogue and chorus in Sophocles.
Yeah, you should check out Nietzsche's Birth of Tragedy. He says that tragedy emerges
There's
from
that look.
the
We
clash
know where she's
between
going, bro.
Apollo, god of reason and passion, and Dionysus, god of intoxication.
The intensity.
Yeah.
And that their struggle
Well-
within our human condition is inevitable, and that is
Should I
what
talk?
has
Yeah,
been
yeah.
missed,
Oh,
the most salient
It's weird
form of
because
art
my
the world's
dad and
ever
him
known.
are friends,
Tragedy?
and so I grew up
What,
like
you don't think
knowing
so?
him. So
I
it
like
was like
comedies. You want to see a movie?
very like.
Did that make it more comfortable or less comfortable?
I think both. Like it
Did you
was.
get my note?
I did.
We were.
And
it was comfortable, but
very
it was
clever
also
of you to
just
write
like
it in
weird.
Latin.
with
Yeah.
the repeated
You know.
use of the passive periphrastic.
It was quite profligate.
How old are you?
When's
again?
his shirt come off?
Cicero with
Stan, cut to the chase.
themselves into the verbs.
None of
And there's
this
also
was
that
lost
energy.
on
It's
me.
like when your parents like make you sing in front of your friends, you get more nervous than if you
You
sing in
are
front of
very-
strangers.
Very bright and very fetching in your way.
Fetching.
But there are certain
Well, yes, I
rules.
am
love that look.
fetching.
You are, of course. You like.
Yes.
bite
That's
your-
me.
will.
Like
Bite your
her
lip.
face is me.
So
at
those
the
are
taco
her
truck.
real. She didn't have to get a plaster thing done
I'm
on
not
her.
joking, actually. and
Yeah,
I'm
no, I got.
There we go.
Oh, here
yes,
we go.
yes, girl.
All right.
Good.
Can you show this?
What year is this?
Yeah, no, I have a brawn and stuff. It's like I think I was like 24.
Oh, this is the Latin.
Catullus 51, the lesbia cycle, yes.
Okay.
However-
All right. Oh, man.
Well, so growing up here,
Freeze on that.
Yeah.
I have a question. So growing up in LA, you didn't want to audition for sitcoms and things,
Well,
or you weren't
like
really into it?
actually, I kind of did, but my parents
Yeah.
were very. They were like, go to
Wait.
school, get your education, kind of thing. But I did want to say that the first play I ever did and that I was like drawn to theater was a Chris Durang play.
Oh,
Oh.
which
It
one?
was For Whom the Southern Belle Tolls.
Yeah.
One act, and I played the mother, the Amanda character, and my son. This was in high school. I was in 9th grade.
They did Durang in high school?
Yeah.
That surprises me. That's
Yeah,
usually
we did. You
college.
Can't Take It With You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did that too,
Okay.
actually. But the guy who played my son, who was like a year older than me, was like a 6 foot, 6'2" guy who's like red hair, and I bossed him around. It was hilarious, and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. This is really fun. But I thought it was funny because I didn't know that Wendy Wasserstein and Chris Durang were like so
tight.
so tight. Yeah. But yeah, so once I was in college, like my sophomore year of college, I was like, okay, I had a shitty year of like first year. I was like, I'm homesick. I don't like the East Coast. I'm like cold, whatever. Maybe I should just go to a conservatory acting school. And that's when I was like, oh no, I should just stay at Brown, but like do a lot of theater. And then after that, I decided to like pursue it professionally once I graduated.
One of the questions we got was actually an aspiring actor waiting to really hit it after college, got offered a role, but wants to finish college. Are you glad that you waited till after college?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't auditioning professionally until after college, though. So I don't know if I had gotten a part when
Yeah.
I was in college. Maybe I would have, taken a year off or something, done it. But like,
God, if I lived here, I would have been like to my
Yeah.
parents, I have to audition and take me here.
yeah,
and
but like, I grew up in the business,
Yeah.
You're
so
like
it wasn't like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy for that now. It was like I've had so many more experiences. I think I would have if, I had just like
grown
continued.
up on a set. And
Yeah, and also like less of a complex.
We got because you got to
just
discover.
less of one.
Just
Still
a li-
one.
I still have one, but it's just
We
a
all
little
do.
less.
I have an
Yeah.
apartment complex in Boca Raton.
Yeah.
But you probably also got to figure out who you really were by going to college
Yeah.
and doing that whole process.
Yeah.
Whereas a child actor, and maybe you can speak on this as well, you're always acting, you're always in a role, you're always in that kind of celebrity acting bubble. You don't really get to discover who you really are when you're not on.
I mean, I didn't think when I came after college. I came back to LA and I was like, I'll try acting here. And then I realized that I had way more to learn about myself. And I moved to New York, and I was in New York for like 12 years.
And how'd you
But-
pick that college? Why there? Just
I
get
don't
out of
know, it was
LA?
sort of- no,
Yeah,
it was
that's
like
very far.
I applied early, got in, so I went.
Okay.
You
Great
know?
school.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's a great
It's a
school.
great
Yeah.
school.
Trinity Rep. Did you work there?
Yeah, I had saw a bunch of stuff there. One of the shows I did was like in conjunction
Yeah.
with Trinity Rep. I
Yeah.
knew a lot of people who worked there and did stuff. It was like very connected with Brown. So
And she did Diary of Anne Frank. So
Yeah,
there's
she-
another
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah,
connection.
I did
yeah.
diary when I was a senior in high
Yeah.
school.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I sure did.
And Raviv, no diary at all?
I didn't do
You
it.
didn't
Oh,
do
you
Peter?
I never
I
did
was
Peter.
You'd be a
make a
great
great
Peter.
Peter.
You'd be a
Yes,
great Peter.
yeah.
Do you know that it's
Hater.
not even required reading anymore in school? How ridiculous
Yes, I
is
know.
that? Well,
That's one of the
course
reasons
you
why
know.
I keep doing it.
Yeah.
When I found out that the actress playing Anne, when we auditioned her, a beautiful Latina 15-year-old, and she was like, I said, when did you read it in school? And she goes, I didn't know who Anne Frank was
Wow.
until this audition. And so smoke blew out of my ears. And I was like, no, this is why we have to keep doing this play, because it's not taught.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a little surprise for Amanda, so let's take a break.
Oh, wow.
And I guess everybody needs another glass of.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, who needs
Equality
refreshing?
A little
vodka.
bit, yeah.
Okay.
I think you should have some.
We don't need it, but we'll,
All right, stop. What are you doing?
Yes.
I won't feel good if I do.
Really?
Okay, and we're back, and I'm filling glasses here.
That was fast.
Yeah.
That was a quick break.
And there's a mixer right there in front of you. If you want to come see me on the road, Monday, January 13th, I am doing the red carpet with AVN nominee Sylvia Sage. We are
What does avian mean?
Adult Video Network.
I just want to.
Yeah.
People that don't know, like me.
We're hosting the CyberSocket Web Awards 20th annual.
What is
awards.
CyberSocket?
Come on,
Yeah,
Stan.
come on.
Just guess.
We know you watch. It's for the
just
adult
love
film
my
industry. You get to see your
equality
favorite
straight.
adult film stars
It's
with
what's
their
on the
clothes on.
screen right
Oh
now.
my
That's
God.
a cyber socket.
There you go.
Bada boom.
There you go. Anyway, that's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to keep it PG. We're going to try to keep it so.
You never invite me to those events.
You're welcome to come. Everybody's welcome to come. It's on Monday,
There you
January
go.
13th.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Okay. And we go.
It's at Penthouse, West Hollywood in California, cybersocketawards.com. Okay, so Amanda, Meisner technique of acting, I'm an actress. Then we go to soap operas, cult horror film, Married with Children. But I want to know, how did you use the Meisner technique with these hyper forms of acting? Go.
Well, and it's also kind of weird that I ended up teaching it because the last few years I've been teaching at a film school in Seattle where I was living.
Yeah.
And I redesigned their acting program, or kind of designed it because there really wasn't one much. And I decided it's wonderful because everybody's welcome to the table there, and you get all different levels of experience arriving. And so I just said, we're just going to go back to ground zero, which is Meisner. So there are a lot of things from that, his technique, from the exercise that you can lift and put here and there. And talking about not being able to, or working while you're in school, you weren't allowed to at the Playhouse. And it was a 2-year program, and they held over your being invited back for the second year. It was horrible. And, it was just so unsupportive. And that's like, it's just like the business. It's just like the industry. So, and kind of, yeah. But I was able to complete the 2-year program, but you were forbidden to work in the industry. Not that anybody was knocking on my door at the time. But my first job was on All My Children, and that was the only soap I ever watched. So to be in Pine Valley, I was just so excited at that opportunity, and I auditioned for a lead character, Liza Colby, for anybody who can harken back, right? And I'd never been on a soundstage before, and that was when they did really truly screen tests, and I was like a piece of wood. But it came down between me and Marcy Walker, the girl who got the role. And when I didn't get the role, I was just devastated because all my eggs were in that basket. It was one of my first auditions. It was Pine Valley, and I crawled back home, and 2 weeks later they called and they'd written a part for me.
I called Amanda, by the way.
Yeah, so they called her Amanda, which was kind of soap opera-y name at the time because nobody at that time was named Amanda. There were only about 3 of us in the world, and but yeah, it was Mandy, and because the character of Liza Colby was so sociopathic that they needed someone to just go, really? I don't think we should do that. Do you think that's a good idea? I was that character because she was so heinous, right? And then it rolled into 2 years.
Do you have a clip of this?
We do.
Oh my God.
Fantastic.
So, All My Children celebrated 50th anniversary. This is a funny, and this is no offense to people with any disabilities, because obviously I'm not going to make fun of anybody, because, but here's a little scene, a little throwback for Amanda. Go ahead and play.
Yourself.
Oh, okay.
Lee McCloskey. No, who's that?
Lawrence Law.
Nelson's coming along pretty good, huh?
Yeah, he's really making progress.
Yeah? The only trouble is he can't get out the house as much as he should, you know?
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah. But that was real good of you, taking him over to graduation like
She's
that.
such a good gal, that Amanda.
Well, he really wanted to go. And besides, Mr. Breck
I already
asked him
trust
to
her.
present that Valley Club award.
Hey, right? That was real cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys.
Oh.
This is...
I wonder if it's too soon to call him and see how it went today.
How what went?
His therapy.
Who's that?
Miss Perkins. She started him on the parallel bars today.
Yeah?
Oh, the
That's good.
Yeah, it
You
is.
guys, it gets better.
Speak
Oh.
of the devil.
Yo, Nelson.
That's horrible! Oh my God! See, there's Liza. There's Liza right there,
Yeah.
the mean one.
I can see where you guys are using Meisner.
He's okay, you guys.
The man could have broke his arm.
Okay, I want you to see Amanda, take control of this
Man, look
scene.
at them steps. No wonder he fell.
Hold on.
No, you hold on. The man could have
hold
been
on.
hurt bad,
Now look,
real
kid,
bad.
if you want to lose your job, you'll keep your voice down.
Jesse, it's okay. I'll take care of it, all right?
There she goes.
Well, I'm gonna get the man a beer, and it's gonna be on the house.
Yeah.
A $2 beer, well, thanks.
Sounds good to me.
Off his sleeves.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr.
There we go.
Hills, Jeff Hills. And look, miss, I'm sorry about your friend, but
cute.
it's really not my fault.
Well, are you aware, Mr. Hills, that there are laws against
Here
discriminating
she goes.
against
Yes,
the handicapped?
an activist even then.
Discriminating. I am
Love
trying
the
to run
hair
a restaurant.
flipping
Yeah,
from
well,
the
fine,
face.
but every public gathering place is supposed to have at least one safe entrance for wheelchairs.
She's up on her.
Yes,
One safe
ADA.
entrance.
Exemption,
All right,
Mr. Hills.
thank you, Kurt.
I have absolutely
No
no
memory
memory
of
of
that.
Because
that.
you guys are filming like 80 pages a day, of
100.
course.
But I want to know,
Yes.
how do you go from that to Married with Children when you got that script? Because that style was so.
That's one of the questions that we
Uh-huh.
got is
Well,
what
it wasn't an
reaction?
immediate jump. I did a little some.
I know,
in
but like
between.
when you got that, was like, did you
Yeah.
know? Like, how do they say like it's bigger? Like, how do they like direct
That's
you
literally
in
one of the
that?
questions that we got.
Well, you don't
was-
get directed when you're auditioning. It's
No,
not
I mean
like
when you
can
got-
go in. Let me see how I should play this. Hello, Stan, could you come in?
But when you
direct me
auditioned for it, did they say it's
No,
bigger?
well,
Is
first
it-
of all, this was Fox, and it was
Yes.
like, what is that?
Fox?
That's
Yeah.
exactly
And it
right.
was FBC, which is
Yeah.
they're trying to be upscale like CBS, ABC,
yeah,
NBC.
yeah.
And it was like, what's this? It was actually my first half-hour script that I'd ever read. And then when I read it, I thought, because I grew up on TV like you, I was Mary Tyler Moore and Bob Newhart every Saturday night, like church,
Yes.
like a ritual, and that girl and blah blah blah. But this was different and funny. But I grew up in a funny family. I mean, a sense of humor. So that was always a part of my life. And then I thought, this is so irreverent and mean. And all these things. But you just make choices the same way, back to the Meisner thing. It's all about that. You just make choices of what this person's point of view is going to be.
But it was a louder. It was loud. It was
What,
very
Married
much.
with Children was
It was
loud?
a little bigger.
Well,
Bombastic.
It
Yeah.
was. It was. abroad.
Right. So did they say like bring it up? Like how did
Yeah,
they?
because my question is, when you get that
Yeah,
script,
you go-
how would you know that was the style?
Did they
I would
say
think
that was
the
part of it,
script
or are
is
you like they go,
weird.
no? You gotta.
Stan, you wrote these kind of scripts.
How dare you?
No, but
not
no,
that
it doesn't.
style. That
It
was
doesn't.
very different style.
I wouldn't have
No,
known
but-
how to play that style
Yeah,
from
I
reading that
agree,
script.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I don't think it was really telegraphed on the page. I think it's
Wasn't.
just about what you walked in with, and I had played young. I mean, on that clip on All My Children, I was probably 24, playing 16, and so Married with Children was the first job that I was auditioning for where I was my age, which was 28, and I was the youngest of all the women who kept getting called back. And the reason, really, a lot of why I got the part was because I made a good match with David Garrison, and the part had been written for him.
But was it the director, the creators that said like we wanted a little amped?
Well, honey, you bring it in the room. You gotta sell yourself.
Right, but did they say it's more amped, it's more up, it's more?
Stan really wants it to be amped.
I want to.
guess
Yeah, I
so.
know.
It was amped.
But it was a very different style as.
Well,
as
it grew
watching
to
They
be.
didn't even
Look,
know
we
what they-
Mary
became
Tyler
the
Moore.
Simpsons. We became
a live
Yeah.
action Simpsons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
a
course.
live action
Yes.
cartoon, and we had bodies flying
But did
off
the
roofs
creators
and-
in their minds hear it that way?
Okay, here's the deal, and I think this is telling for those who can remember. Michael Moy, one of the creators, was a huge fan of the Roadrunner cartoon. And I don't know if
okay.
you remember that because it was just very Roadrunner always wins, Wile E. Coyote always loses.
That always
And Al
frustrated me, by the way.
Bundy
There was no
was a
change.
big loser, so
He's
always
the Charlie Brown.
Well, not as sweet.
Okay. Well,
You know,
yeah,
you didn't,
yeah. But
you weren't really rooting for Al.
No.
But he would then, and Acme, the big iron would fall on the coyote's head, and then the next scene he'd have like a Band-Aid on his, and that's what we were.
That's
That's what we
interesting that you
became.
put that
It
in that
got
context.
broader and broader as those years ran on, and those storylines run thin, and
Was Wile E. Coyote referenced? Was he talking
No,
about
no,
that?
no.
No, it was
No,
just
no, no,
a
no.
known
but
thing.
visually, I see.
it's just the broad
Yeah.
playing of that.
And I see Al Bundy like sitting on the sofa defeated, and now that makes sense.
Yeah.
That whole imagery makes sense.
Yeah.
Actors turned directors sometimes is met with eye rolls, especially being a woman on top of that. How did you approach the team of Married with Children, directing for the final season, although nobody knew it was going to be the final season. Also, before we had this conversation of female equality behind the scenes, how did that conversation go when you said, "Hey, I'm going to start directing"?
Well, I directed 6 seasons of the show, in and around. So it wasn't the
Oh,
final.
I thought it was the final season.
No. I negotiated for it, and again, this was Fox, and we were this little
Well, what made you even think like I'm going to ask for that?
because they were only going to pay me so much money because I was 6 banana. And I was going to go down with the ship. David Garrison had already left, and I'm like, I like
But
this.
were you
gig.
watching the directors and going like, that's
well,
something
okay,
I feel
well,
like?
here's the deal. I grew up doing theater, and when you grow up doing theater, it's a different experience. And when I got on Married with All My Children, I was so much often more interested in what the crew was up to than I was what's happening on the set. I mean, I was doing my job as an actor, but I was watching it all fall in. And there was a actor turned director named Francesca James, who became like and maybe the showrunner of General Hospital back in the day. And she was the first woman, and this was 1983, that I saw step behind the camera. And I was like, And, again, doing theater, you know what everybody's doing. You respect that. It's a little separated with television and film. But, I was just always interested. So, and it is a natural progression for a lot of actors to make. But for me, they came to me and said, your money's going to go here. Is there something else you'd like to do? Would you be interested in writing? And I said, I'd like to direct. And so I negotiated for one episode in the fifth or sixth season of the show. And then I studied. Cool. And I went to USC and took a multicam practicum. I had already taken a class at AFI and directing the master scene. And I watched, our first season and a half was directed by a woman named Linda Day, who was just wonderful, wonderful, full of grace. And she's directing this really tacky show. Yeah. And she's just this lovely woman, but so good. And she had risen up through the ranks of the crew. So she was a script supervisor who became an AD, who became a director. And she was probably about my age now when she was doing that. And she was the first person to sign. When you join the Directors Guild, you have to have 3 signatures of directors.
You got her?
And she was the first one to sign.
And was it hard for the actors to suddenly take direction from you because you were their
Well, no,
co-stars?
they were very, very supportive. They really were. And no one else was, interested or had the inclination to do that. And they really, and the crew, everybody had my back. And the first one went well, so then they went, okay, we'll give you another one. And then it grew from there. By the end of the run of the show, I was directing about half the episodes of the season.
And that's a wild beast to like. This is what I want to do.
There are not many actors. I remember Peter Bonners, I think on Newhart did it. I remember
Yeah.
like just as a TV nerd noticing that. And I remember like seeing that you had done that. I'm like, wow, it's so cool that
Well, there weren't a lot of women.
No,
There were
not
probably
women
a
or even
handful.
actors just doing that.
Yeah.
We had Anson Williams, who was on Happy Days, and I didn't realize how prolific his TV directing. Jonathan Frakes, we know, LeVar Burton. I mean, we just don't even know what's happening behind the scenes.
But she
with some of
was
our
a pioneer
favorite
in
shows.
saying, I'm an
A pioneer
actor and
in
I
many
want
ways.
I want to direct a show.
So I quit acting after Married with Children because of that, because the momentum of my career was behind the camera. And I liked the anonymity of it. I had come out as a professional lesbian.
I was gonna say, because you never were like really in the closet, but like
No,
the
I
media was
wasn't,
like, now you're out.
But how did that
no.
happen? Did someone say like, do you want to do it? Did someone magazine
What- are
come
we
and
talking
say
about
coming out?
Okay,
Like, do they say
so I was lumped into the Christy McNichol world of is she, isn't she,
Yeah.
and this was before.
It's a good
social-
world to be in. Christy
okay.
McNichol?
No, but I
We
mean
love her.
they
Yeah.
danced around her
Yes,
for years,
yeah.
okay? And so they were dancing around me and I just didn't acknowledge it. And this was the tabloids. There was no social media then. But it was awful press, awful.
Like
I didn't
connecting you with
wanna-
certain people?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, not really. And I really, as I was a supporting character on a show. I wasn't a lead character on a show. So it was a smaller sort of celebrity that I was having at the time. And but
There
it
was
was
also
around
a
the birth of my
counterpoint,
but
too.
when I decided to adopt my daughter, that's when the tabloids were going to come for me. And that's when I said, you know what? You're going to take this beautiful moment in my life, and there is truth. I am adopting a daughter. I am a lesbian, and you're going to then bastardize it. And you know what? I'm going to tell the story my way. And that's when The Advocate and I did the cover on The Advocate, and then came out, and the following year I did a cover, maybe 2 years later, with Zoe at about a year, my daughter at about a year and a half of age, about parenting. And this was 1993
But
and
before that, did you
1995.
feel weird about dating in Hollywood with other women or being caught or any of that? Was that a part of it? You just did it.
Uh-huh. And
Okay.
I was a lesbian. I mean, I lived my life.
But your agents or managers, because
you
I
mean
was
like
always
having a
told, like,
beard?
bring a woman to an award show or an event.
Like a
you were
beard?
literally told to bring
Yeah.
a
No,
woman. They did. Because you could have brought me.
I didn't know you then.
know.
I would have.
They
And
said,
they
"Don't
would
bring
be
a
like-
woman,
They
Stan."
would say, "Yo, who are those two lesbians
there you
walking
go.
in?"
Well, the way he
We
dresses.
have the same
you
haircut.
never know.
I was out on the set of All My Children.
Really?
Really.
There was just a different culture back then. It was like, okay, just
It's not like I waved a rainbow
Yeah, yeah,
flag,
yeah.
but I didn't pretend to be anything that I wasn't, and I was with some people that were sort of bigger personalities
Like
than
who?
I was.
Let's say some
Anyway-
initials.
And
Like I don't
we're
know.
showing some pictures right now. No.
Okay.
Anyway, and
Yeah.
so it was like, put two and two together. But it really had to do with the sacredness of the birth of my child, where I went, you know what?
Like, what's the worst thing
You
that
know-
can happen? She's gonna know her way around a Home Depot. She's gonna, she's no good.
No, but
No, I
back
didn't-
then
no, I
it
mean,
was.
I'm making a
it
joke,
was
Stan.
scary.
No,
It was
they
scary.
were gonna
yes.
just be awful,
Weekend.
and they
Yeah.
still
Thank you.
are, and they
Girl,
were
we're
going
gonna
to
watch
turn her into an
Housewives.
alien or something from,
Or you feel like your livelihood is dead. I mean, that's the end of your career.
Well, but
Yeah.
I didn't test the waters as an actor and it crossed my mind, but it really wasn't part of the decision that I made to leave acting in 1997. That was a deliberate choice because Hollywood said, okay, you do that, meaning you're an actor, you can't do that too.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago. And it's like,
Everything
well,
was so
I've been doing it
compartmentalized.
for the last 6 years, so obviously I can, but if I'm going to make a choice, I'm going to stay behind the camera.
But what about being a spokesperson for gay rights? I mean, you had a lot of pressure to do that.
Well, I was
then
the
it
first
different.
poster child for HRC
Yeah.
when they
Yeah, so then
acquired.
people want you to, like, you have to talk about issues.
Well,
Well,
it's so
and I
different. Like
did.
HRC and like all of that accolades now. Like Wilson Cruz is getting the accolades.
Yeah, but
so many people, but it wasn't that same
no,
way
I
back
know,
then.
but they were asking you to give quotes or talk
Well,
about
for
it.
the
or
25th,
speeches.
we just had the 50th anniversary of Stonewall this past year. Well, the 25th anniversary was 1994, and I had already come out. And HRC approached me and said, we have acquired the brand of National Coming Out Day, because it had been in existence, but they blew it up, right? Because that was when you needed to put a face to the gay community. That it was imperative so that people would not be afraid of us.
and your face was in mainstream homes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was the first poster child, and we called it that, for National Coming Out Day. And then I passed the baton on to Dan Butler and Candace Gingrich, Mitchell Anderson, Chaz Bono, who was Chastity then,
Yeah.
and I rode that wave, but I was the parent of a 1-year-old and working full time as a actor director, so I was happy to let that wave go on.
Because your child's
And then
your
Ellen
priority.
came out a couple of years later, and she blew up with it, and fantastic
Well,
for
first
her.
it was.
No,
up
but
and
I mean,
down.
she came
Yeah,
out. She
yes.
was the.
Yeah.
I was the
Yes,
cover of the
good,
Advocate. She
right.
was the cover of Time.
Yeah.
But you know what?
But
she
she
had a
wouldn't
show
have had
called
that
Ellen.
time if it hadn't been you.
I don't know, but she had.
Yes, their steps in the Roseanne Kiss episode and Will and Grace. All those things, are steps
Right.
too.
But the fact that she had the notoriety already that she did, and I was known as the supporting character on this show. She was major network, blah blah blah, and it was impactful, hugely. And I applauded her then, and I still do. And I applauded her Sunday night, and with that precious Kate McKinnon that I hired. She was still at Columbia University in New York when we started the Big Gay Sketch Show.
You do.
And
I watched
she
every
was
episode of that show.
Wasn't it a good show?
So good. And Erica, and I went to one of her barbecues that her family did, and we just talked about how much she enjoyed doing that show and her
Who?
characters. Erica Ash.
I miss her. I haven't seen her since we stopped doing the show.
She's doing like VH1 stuff. She's.
I thought she was, last I heard, because she's incredible singer too, that she was sitting down with a production in Vegas, like a Monty Python show. What's that show?
Spamalot.
That was a few years ago, but now she's on VH1. She's on Hollywood House.
Well, if you see her, please tell her I said,
Yeah,
hey.
I mean, she is so talented. She did a musical production of Women of Brewster Plays. It was so amazing. I saw it 13 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That celebration?
Yeah. Oh, she was so good. So in talking about branding and who you are beside the persona, Raviv, being a Disney kid, and we've had some Disney stars.
Oh.
You're controlled by the Disney ideal. You did it at such a young age, and then there's this definite shift that every Disney actor has had. And, usually it's like rebellion or it's totally going across that. You changed your name from Ricky to Raviv, or that's what you went by. But you're also raised in, like we had talked before, in this conservative and orthodox household. Then we get this Paper Magazine article where you celebrate dressing in, like this whole idea of being gender fluid. And I want to read a quote that you posted on your Instagram. As a cisgender straight white male, I just want to acknowledge what a privilege it is to have these photos celebrated. And it was you in a variety of, is it a dress? Is it not? I don't know. While at the same time, people in the trans and queer communities have been and continue to be persecuted worldwide just for living as their authentic selves. There's so many transitions here from this Disney kid that we know to who you are now. And I'm sure from your conservative home life that we don't even know about.
Yeah, it's gosh, I don't know what to say. I grew up definitely in like a fairly conservative house, but also around theater and around the arts.
Yeah.
And that was a huge part of my life from when I was very young. So the idea of fluidity was kind of built into my makeup, and it's funny because the Disney thing and the idea of the control of Disney as a corporation was not prevalent, but also I look back on that time. We did 2 seasons of that show. It took 3 years of my life. Like I look back at that time as a job in a 25-year career that I think was probably the most the biggest thing that I had done, but also looking back, like it was just a small piece of the puzzle.
But once you're part of Disney, you're part of history. And I think, Lucy, don't you have like a story about somebody that might have known him from that show?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Because Raviv and I have met just doing New York theater stuff. We have mutual friends, and one time we ran into each other on the subway in New York, and we were just chatting, catching up, and Raviv left because his stop was earlier than mine. I stayed on the train, and a young girl summoned me over to her seat and was like, Is that Phil?
Yeah.
Phil. I never watched the show. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please don't.
And I was like, yeah, I guess it is. I'm sure it is. And she was like, oh my God. Like, she was starstruck. So
it is weird to do I mean, I'm sure you guys have the same experience. To do something that just really feels like a job. Like I want to be an actor all my life, and so every job feels like I'm going to go out on a show and do my work and do the best I can do, and have it affect people deeper than you could kind of possibly imagine. And with a Disney show, it's interesting because kids grew up on these shows, so they would come home from school, turn on Disney Channel. It was kind of acted as a babysitter. Parents knew that they could trust that the channel there wouldn't be any quote unquote inappropriate stuff, and so there are kids who really grew up and I still meet people that say, I watch that show every single day after school.
You even told me that there's some gay guys that have come up to you and said they knew they were gay when they saw.
Yeah, I was there.
They put him like in a
crush.
tight time travel outfit. What do you expect?
Yeah, come on.
And it's Disney. I mean, that's gay already.
Well, and I directed over there a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting also because that's where multi-camera television is now.
Yeah.
It's alive and well at the Disney
Alive
Channel.
and well.
And a lot of the crew that I worked with on Married with Children and lots of other sitcoms around town
They're still there.
are at Hollywood Center Studios.
But is that weird to hear
directing
like
Disney
that,
shows.
like young kids discovering their sexuality, like because they saw you or they had a crush on you, that like they knew that was something that.
Well, that was me and Haley Mills.
There you go.
Who was it for you? Who did you have a crush on when you must have seen
I'm not gonna
somebody?
say, yes.
Oh, come
Oh,
on.
you-
come on.
You must have
But
seen
you
somebody
must.
growing up and gone ding 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 ding.
Let's move on to review.
Alex,
yeah.
how
No,
about
it's not
you?
fair that everybody has to answer
Yeah.
questions. And
What
and-
about you?
Vince Van Patten. No.
Really?
Oh.
Anyway, go on.
All of us
You're
are
going
Googling
like,
that.
Where the hell is that? Yeah. He was some cute.
Died 1973.
Yes.
He was like a cute,
Yes.
waspy little thing. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
One of
And
my,
you?
like the first was because my mom worked so many jobs to put me through acting and directing, or not
I
directing,
love
dancing.
your
Your
mom,
mom's
by the way.
amazing.
She's
We
the
love your mom,
original
yeah.
Mama Rose. She's like, you sing out better. But our time of bonding was we would tape the soap operas, and when she was home in between jobs for dinner time, we'd watch soap operas. So these gorgeous soap opera men, I was feeling stuff when I didn't know what I was feeling. It wasn't sexual per se. There was like
A crush. It was a little crush.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
yeah.
Crush, yeah. So.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's this brand. It's it was that Disney brand, and you've come from so many different groups, like musical theater, and now sharing your story of like gender fluidity that's like. why is
Explain
it
how
even a
that
thing?
happened. Those
Yeah.
pictures.
Oh God.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. I've always, I really enjoy wearing women's clothing. I really do. I love wearing a dress. I love wearing like women's coats, especially
'Cause they're
are
glamorous
so
and they're comfortable.
Glamorous and beautiful. And any of my close friends know, like if I'm at a party, if I'm anywhere and there's a beautiful coat on, I will be the first to go grab it off the chair and put it on and wear it the rest of the night. And a friend who was a photographer said I just
Friend?
a friend said I just got this new camera and I'd like to. I don't know what you're.
I don't know.
He wants to make everything like
something a little bit more. Yes.
it's not your spank bank stand.
You're in the
Yeah,
gutter
come on.
It's like
stand.
that high maintenance episode.
What is that? What was that? I love that
I
show.
love
Where,
Hand Maintenance. That's one of my favorite shows.
Dan Stevens dresses up in Rachel Comey clothes.
Oh yes, that's
And
a great episode.
It's a great episode.
They're all
So
great
High Maintenance
episodes.
started off as a podcast.
Yeah.
Ben
Yeah.
is an
Or-
old friend.
And
So
like
Are
a
you
web
serious?
series.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and as a web series,
It's
Ben
such a great
has.
Yeah.
Amanda,
he's
have you ever seen the show?
No.
so
oh,
good,
it's so good.
so
great.
good.
So good.
Yeah. It's
But
really,
did you realize when you did those photos that was going to turn into this whole.
No, we had no idea. No, it really. She. This is my friend Caitlin. She said, I have a new camera, and would you be down to take some photos? And I had this idea of like maybe dressing up, but I don't know exactly how. And I was living with my friend Jocelyn, whose
Can we see some of
you
those
need
photos?
to-
Yeah.
whose grandmother was this kind of like fashionista diva from Miami back in the day, and so I wore literally all of
Look
her
at this.
grandmother's clothes in this fashion
Oh
shoot.
my god, that's awesome.
And these were things that Jocelyn had like painted on and kind of reworked, and it were all her grandmother's clothing. And so we did this photo shoot in
thought it was like
the
Givenchy
apartment.
and-
Yeah, it was literally her grandma's clothing, and we just dressed up and had this day of fun, and then threw some of them on Instagram, and
And then I think I text you like, call me.
yes,
right now.
But and here's that comment I want to make about that. We can't just celebrate you for being open and like this is a
Yeah,
closing
this
joy.
is so great.
Like but the LGBT community has to be like, oh, so he's gay then? It's like, no, can't we just enjoy
So this
the
is something
artistic?
that happened actually during that time was that they were very quickly celebrated, which was
It was on all
lovely
the gay
and
sides.
totally
Yeah,
unexpected.
yeah.
And then I had a conversation. My friend Chris, who's a director and a writer, called and he said, "I'm kind of upset about this," and I wasn't sure exactly why, because I felt empowered and it felt like an okay thing, and I wasn't coming out by any means as anything. And he said, there are a lot of people who suffer a lot to be able to do this and live as their true selves, whether that's trans or anything. And you are a straight white man, and you put on a dress, and everyone loves it. And why is it okay that you do this and it's celebrated, and other people do and are killed or are beaten up, or like how does that work? And so it was a kind of it was an interesting moment where I had to unpack what this was and what this meant, and
It's a dicey subject.
it is, and I want to celebrate anybody who wants to dress like anything, but also pay homage to the people who allowed for this to happen. And I think the idea that I am a straight white guy who did this, and people
Can't they
liked it.
coexist? Why does it have to be one or the other?
But it's like we want people to be a certain thing. We want them to fit a label, and it's like, well, let's just stop doing that. Whatever you want to do is fine. I mean, it's not like I'm going to meet you and then we're going to go on a date and then we're going to be lovers. Like, what does your sexuality has to do with your artistic
It sounds
expression?
like a little reverse discrimination in a way.
Yeah.
And you're coming out and being a part of the gay community for so many years, because I've been on the planet a while. Our community has always had the struggle within itself.
Yeah, so when we were growing up, we had to pick a side. I went to NYU, and it's like, are you gay or straight? I'm like, can't I don't, And it's so nice now that it can be anything. Why
It's like,
can't
are
we
you
be
sleeping
anything?
with me? If you're
male,
not, then
female.
who
Yes.
cares?
I mean, when it was a lot less
Yes,
initials.
because we had to come out and
Well,
pick
but
a
it was
side.
also within the community. There was discrimination from men to women, women to men, bisexual, trans. It's all in there. And so, to me,
But this is a straight man's story, so I understand your friend's comment. But that's a
That's
gay
his story. But that's his
Right.
story. So it's as valid as any all
But
of
like
our
straight
stories.
mainstream guys and girls are looking at Raviv and they're like, oh, it's okay to feel
Yeah,
comfortable
so-
in anything. That is a success,
And
there shouldn't be
powerful.
anything
Yes, I agree.
negative around that. But again, that's your brand. Were you afraid how it was going to affect your casting? How it was going to affect your Disney fans?
Yeah, it's impossible to be cast any less than I am right now. So that wasn't really a worry. But no, I think you gotta live your true self, whatever that means. And I look, as an actor, there's no one path. I think that you had the question of like, should I leave school and go do this thing, or should I stay in? There's no roadmap for how you build an acting career or an artist's career. There just isn't.
It's different for everybody.
It's different for everybody, and you have to do what your gut tells you to. And there are times when I was a kid that I turned down. I remember turning down a community theater role of The Artful Dodger because they
You
said
would have been good for that.
Oh, yeah.
I see
they said
that.
if you can do this, but then you can't audition professionally. We just need you to make sure that you'll actually be here to do the shows.
Oh, I love community theater.
And I said, okay, I actually don't want to give up the opportunity to audition. And now I kind of regret that because I could have played that part. And I think that
Still could.
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
A slightly
Hey,
different
the
production.
next
Wait
live
Wait
TV
a minute,
musical.
I'm thinking.
Go Stan again.
Yeah, there we go.
Live TV musical, Artful Dodger.
I love that show.
Oh, they haven't done Oliver.
I haven't done. It's true.
I'd like to be Fagin though.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's a
and
great
Ollie
one.
Ollie
Yeah.
Oliver.
There you go.
Hey,
Okay.
with that, yes.
So I want some
Once
more.
again, I don't have a role in what we're talking about. But Raviv, I also want to talk about this move, documentarian. It's like, wait, what? When we look at the music that you've done. You also taught yourself how to play trombone. You've been in a band. Music
He's
has been
very
part of your
political
life.
though.
Well, but see, but we
Aren't
don't
we
know
all
that.
at this point?
Remember, I met you down at Occupation Wall Street.
Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Wall
met.
Street.
Yeah,
Occupation.
God.
Occupy Wall
This
Street. Yeah, there
white
you
Jewish
go.
man
This
that
guy-
lives in the
yeah,
Hollywood
yeah.
Hills.
Park.
No, he's
Occupation
like,
Wall
he's
Street.
like, meet me down there. I'm like, wait, what? And
like,
you were camping, or
he's
you
like,
were.
"Can I
I did
Uber
not. I
there?"
didn't camp there. I didn't camp there.
You were sleeping there overnight?
No. I just spent a lot of time there.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Did you have a good
people were.
experience?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was very impactful. Yeah.
So, Standing Ground, which you crowdfunded for.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
Yeah, it's a
mission. I guess.
Thank you. I'm not. It's my first step into directing. Definitely first step into documentaries. I love
It's just
documentaries.
a whole different beast.
I think that real life is as much as I love theater and film and television, and think that fiction is beautiful. Real life is somehow always just more fascinating. Always. And I've been following the story that kind of in the fringes of the news, like Democracy Now! Was covering it, what was happening at Standing Rock in North Dakota, and that there was this tribe fighting a pipeline. And I grew up with no understanding of Native American history. I grew up on Pine Ridge Road, which I didn't know until I went to Standing Rock was a reservation, which is one of the biggest reservations in the country. I learned about Native American history as history, and all of a sudden there was something about the story and our government taking land away from natives that had been promised, and plowing through historical sites and grave sites to put in a pipeline for profit seemed insane to me. Then on Democracy Now! There were videos of security dogs attacking women and children, and I couldn't believe that this was happening in my country. It felt like something that was happening somewhere else, and there was no, besides Democracy Now!, there was no real news coming out from the actual space, and then all of a sudden, Amy Goodman from Democracy Now!, as well as other journalists, started getting arrested, and it felt like if I was following the story, for some reason, all of a sudden, I felt like I had to go. It came to me, I have to go, and my girlfriend at this time said, well, if you go, you should probably bring a camera. And so I called up a friend. I said, hey, I'm going to go. I don't really know what I'm going to do there, but I feel like I need to be there, and I'm going to bring a camera, and maybe we make a documentary. And he said, when do we leave? And we went for a week and met the most incredible, gracious people. It was a live encampment right on the foot of the built of the pipeline, and I realized that there was a crazy story, if not 100,000 crazy stories happening there. And we threw up a Kickstarter, and it kind of immediately made our goal.
Yeah.
And it was right at the beginning. It was before it had hit the mainstream news. And yeah, I spent like 3 months there within the encampment through the winter, and then spent a year traveling with different people that I had met there, including Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who's now running for president. Big figure. Is she out?
She's
Yeah,
dropped.
she's-
Did she?
She did?
drop?
She did drop out, yeah.
When?
Yes, she did.
When?
Yes, she did. Oh, it's been a couple-ish weeks.
Oh, really?
Maybe a
I've never
month.
really-
Am I the only
I've
one who
never
thinks
been.
that?
Check it
No,
out, yeah.
I
Yeah,
I
she's
feel
out.
like she has,
yeah.
yeah.
It's probably it's very possible.
She'll be
She
back.
wasn't.
No,
She'll be
she,
back.
she, not,
Okay,
she wasn't,
you know what?
She
Somebody
wasn't in
go.
the...
Lizzie?
Lizzie.
We'll get there.
Anyway, but
And a bunch of other people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to turn about 200 hours of raw footage into a narrative story. And
Because
I-
yeah, you
every
build
s-
it in. You really
yeah.
do build documentaries in post.
Yeah,
'Cause-
totally.
And it'll take you on whatever journey.
Have
it's
you made?
supposed-
Have you?
No,
been part
but
of
I
documentary? No.
a little,
around
and
it.
I too. I'm a huge fan of documentary
Yeah, it's my
storytelling.
favorite form of films. I just love them.
Yeah, I'm
'Cause you
drawn
can't
to them
write
too.
But it has to be done well. You can't just take like an honorable subject and expect a great project. It has to be done so artistically that somebody that has no interest in that subject matter will watch it and be moved.
Well, and I got to say that's what I've been like to open wide up. That's why I have not been able to finish this, because it's something that is so important to me, and it's an issue that I know is so important to so many. And I think that the issue of Standing Rock and a pipeline fight really boils down the issues that we as a country and a world are facing right now, like in its entirety, and I want to do it justice. At the same time, I'm a first-time documentarian, and so most likely it's going to be a pile of shit.
No.
Actually, the fact that it's a very fresh perspective.
Yeah.
But it
and
takes
that
time.
But I don't know
and
how to
money.
do
you
it.
are emotionally
You
wide
just
open.
make it something bad, put it together. And
I've been trying to figure out how to
Okay, can we
incorporate
clarify that I'm right? Oh, pfft.
Come on.
incorporate
Come on,
incorporate
Okay,
fear
Stan,
into
we'll
a
have a
thing.
bet.
Okay.
Oh, you guys are gonna have a bet?
Yeah, I'm gonna bet. You want to bet?
Oh, this
what
is
are we gonna
exciting.
bet?
We're
on?
gonna bet something
That she's already dropped out?
Yes, that she's dropped out.
All right. So, just to bring back,
He got scared.
I want to
Okay.
do a little blast from the past. Of course, we have to look at the Phil of the Future theme song, which
There we
many
go.
people have covered. I want you to narrate this for us and
sure.
tell us what scene this brings back in memories, stories, whatever you want to
I don't think I've ever seen
voice over this.
So.
No? Oh, yeah, that's me smiling, being
God.
super cheesy. Craig Anton played the dad, incredible comedian. He now teaches at SCAD. Yeah, we were family from the future that got
What
stuck
year?
at 2121.
Uh-oh.
So 100 year,
I see a
101 year.
reboot.
And we got stuck in this time because our time machine broke down.
I hate when that happens.
What time
What
is
is
it?
scene?
What time? What?
Are you stuck in?
We're stuck in, present day.
Oh,
This was 2004.
Okay.
So stuck in 2004.
What is seeing this
It's kind of terrifying. I mean, watching a bunch of footage of yourself at 17 years old is, and it's also, look, I'm proud of the show, but it's also quite embarrassing. You know, it's like a cheesy, fun kid. It's a
was
kid's
your first time
show.
on a set like
And you
that?
did a great job of it.
Thank you. No, it was my first time on it. No, I'd done some films.
But
the
not
first
a lead.
No,
Oh,
not
yeah,
a
that was
lead.
a lot,
and not this type of show. I'd been doing a lot of theater but I had never done big, broad comedy at all. So I don't know. It's a piece of history.
Well, that's a little blast from the past. And so I just have to highlight our featured sponsor in talking about gender fluid fashion.
Sure.
Our featured sponsor today is iHoney, which is iHoney or...
Sorry.
bet.
Stan, we have to be separated.
Yes.
Or iHoney, high-end eyewear and accessories that combine classic styles with contemporary urban aesthetics. Check out their lines of crowns, wearable chic crowns for club or brunch, which I wore for
I wanna
New
wear
Year's
a
Eve.
crown.
And it's totally gender neutral, and they're gorgeous. Go
wear
to
a crown.
ihoney.com, and it's
You should
it's EYEHUNEE.com. So that is our featured sponsor. So that's perfect.
Honey.
So Lucy,
Right.
we have to talk.
Oh, here we go.
We gotta talk.
Ah.
Studying theater at Brown, were there any subjects that you thought, oh, I nailed it? Because I studied theater at Chapman University, which is here in Orange County,
Great school. Love this
which
school.
is a great school.
Yeah,
They didn't
Orange.
like me though. I got
Yeah.
'cause I don't like anyway. But were there subjects that you felt, oh, I'm really excelling at, and you really enjoyed? And was there anything that stuck out, like, this is just not me? Mine was like improv, like an animal eating an ice cream cone.
Yeah,
Like,
I liked all of the performance stuff. Like I was, I excelled in the theater classes actually,
yeah.
and that's kind of why I was like, wow, yeah, I should try this for real.
And
but
improv? Did you like improv?
improv I can do once in
Okay,
a while,
okay.
you know. But
Dance? You like dance?
dance, I
Yeah.
I got
can't all be in
scoliosis, you know. No, I like comedy, so I can dance comedically.
Okay.
You know what I
That's
mean?
helpful. Yeah,
I sing comedically. All of that. I public speak comedically, I would say.
I love how comedically.
Yeah, you know.
I could be a judge comedically.
Yeah, totally. You know, I think I was actually I was an art history major because I went to college. I was like, I'm gonna go to Italy abroad for a semester. That's my goal.
What city?
Totally see
And-
you in Italy. But
Florence.
And no, I went to Bologna.
Okay.
Actually, and I got on the waiting list for that program. Now, because
there's nothing happening in
because
Bologna, by the
I'm
way.
horrible at languages. I'm like not good at it, and I was always like you know.
I just saw you seduce in Latin. Of course you're good at it.
Yeah, you know, I can pretend, but what am I saying? I have no idea. But I ended up getting in and going to Bologna for a semester, and I also like to draw, so I
did not know that.
Yes. So
art history was in Bologna, or theater was in Bologna?
Art history.
Art history.
So I took one of my major classes was like a visual arts class, and came back with some lovely sketches.
Of some Italian men. Better get out that extra long.
What'd you draw?
Mostly ladies. Oh. Yeah.
Naked ladies?
Yeah.
Amanda,
Really?
road trip. Let's go.
Okay.
But
she's like, my arm is injured, but I'll still draw.
No, but Italian men are gorgeous, and
ridiculously
and
so.
They're
when
great.
I've been, and the women have a lot of facial hair.
It depends.
Over there, I don't mean no.
On the rocks, your source of everything fake news. People are either running or they're not running, and now we have women.
When I
with
was
hair.
traveling, when I was younger, and the boys go in packs.
Mm-hmm.
They're in packs, and they're just like they look like movie stars running, and
all of them.
They're just stunning. The women, not as.
I mean, beautiful women. I thought.
Well, I should have gone your year.
Yeah, you should have.
Gorgeous.
Everyone was beautiful.
I've never been to Bologna.
I love Italy.
Do you still draw?
I still draw. Yeah. I still draw. I paint as well sometimes.
I want to see that. Yeah. It's very funny in doing research because you know I love doing research. Doing research on you was a little difficult. I had to call your high school counselor.
Oh no!
Wait, are you? No, you're kidding.
Am I? Yeah. But we actually got this question from an actress. You've acted in so many different genres and scopes of projects. What is one constant in your creative process, no matter what project you're working on?
Ooh. Oh. I don't know. I mean, I think like I try to find fun in something. That's a stupid answer. I don't really know. Constant. Mostly like I think that in the past few years of my life, the constant has been like trying to be like, what is it in myself that is similar to these.
That's like step one.
Yeah, it's like, what is it that is most accessible in these parts or whatever it is. But also, it's what is the piece saying? Do I agree with it? Do I want to tell this story? And am I, like, excited by it, engaged by it? And sometimes I'm not, and sometimes I really am. So when
you say no if you're not?
It depends.
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't have that much freedom at the moment where I can be like, no, I'm not going to do this job, But I think that, like, I try to find humor in everything. And I think, like, that's, I was never the person who was like, oh, I'm just going to do straight drama.
Yeah.
Also because, like, in life, I find things which are dramatic to be very funny. So that's just sort of my MO is like, okay, can I laugh at something even though it's like dark? Then yeah, the dark comedy is my thing.
And I love that because in every drama we know there's that moment where you get a breath and you can either laugh at the situation, like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is one of my favorite plays of all time, and it's riddled with this comedy.
Yeah.
But you can't play the comedy. So
and
I love
think
that you said
also, like, comedies are, like, rich with drama. So, like...
You can't play a comedy like a comedy.
Right. So that, and I love that about, like, making something that could be very, like, farce and, very broad, actually have, like, real characters and the drama within it seem very real to them.
And that's what she does so beautifully in our play. Well, like one moment, like you're crying, and then all of a sudden you're laughing, and then you're back to like, you just want to hug her, and you are able to just maneuver back and forth like real life, and it's so beautiful to watch. It's an honor, really.
You are in all three plays of the Wendy Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
Can we say mental challenge?
Yeah.
How are
Thanks,
you,
Dan. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you preparing to perform in these shows side by side? What's your preparation process for each performance?
Well, there's not much prep at all. But I think, like, the fact that, like, Stan has so graciously cast me in all of the Wendy roles has been an extreme gift to me that like I'm playing the versions of her in all of these plays, and
I love that.
I had enough time to like I listened to her biography because I was like traveling a lot. It was perfect. I bought the audiobook and like listened to her biography. So I really learned a lot about who she was, and that was really telling. And actually, like even without reading that, I feel like I have a lot in common with her, and I understand like thematically, like I get who she is. You know, I come from like a boisterous, half Jewish family, and New Yorkers, and like I am also like, a woman in my mid-30s without a child. You know what I mean? So it's like which are huge themes in her life, and I feel like I relate to it so much. So each play is like, I don't know, time capsule of her life, and it's actually like it's been amazing, very emotional for me, like very, very poignant, and like an honor to be able to do all these plays in a row. Like I couldn't ask for any better, way to learn about her and to like experience it. Like
Stan has a way of setting up a situation that you think this is absolutely ridiculous and will never be possible, and I can't
There we
believe I'm
go.
saying yes to this.
No, but
then at
people
the end,
commit to him.
But
in
then
a
at the
certain way.
end of it, you really turn around and you say, "I am so grateful for this
So
experience,
grateful.
and I'm so glad that I was given the opportunity to wrestle with this material." And no one else has given me the opportunity to do that, and we are able to present something that would
no
have
one
been-
else
that
would
no one else
be
would do.
crazy enough
also,
to
like,
do.
a way that you can like really honor the playwright.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you'll work on one play or one work of art where you have no regard for like the history of it and where it stands in place in the personal life, in the place and time. And with Wendy, both of those things are hugely important to her work. It's like where she is in her life, but also what's happening around her, like that being able to like being actually forced to like look at the progression is just, it's such a gift, and actually like gives so much perspective on the characters and what she's trying to say. It's just
And where
She
we
was
were
on
in
a
the-
forward
in the
wave of
world.
feminism.
Yeah, so she
and now
started-
we're on a second wave. We really are.
Yeah, and the first play is Uncommon Women and Others, which she wrote as a student at Yale. It was a thesis project at first. So to go from that to like a real boulevard comedy and Isn't It Romantic to a Tony Award-winning, Pulitzer Prize-winning play with Heidi Chronicles, to watch the writing and to see these, like, I couldn't ask for any better actors. So I just have to like step aside and
He's about to cry, you guys.
well, it's very emotional.
No, I know.
As a writer, and to see these actors and to see this process. And we not only talk about the plays, but her, like you were saying, as a writer. So it's both, we're carrying both of these, which is a great honor, I feel. And it was just very emotional weekend for us to have this experience and then see people come literally in tears. They came up to me, thank you for honoring her, and that she's not forgotten.
Right.
And that's because she died of lymphoma at a very young age. She would have been 70 this year in October, 18th. And our dream is to do this in New York on her birthday. I would love to do that, but that she could just be forgotten. Like,
But it's
that
also one of the beautiful things about your work, Stan, is that you seem to have just a keen sense of a social justice of what is going on around you. And you've written plays that reflect that, and what you did with Anne Frank, and casting all Latino,
Not all Latinos, I was.
Not
every Latino.
everyone except someone in the room.
No,
yeah.
but to transform that piece in that way. And then here is not your written work, because usually I'm with you on that. And this is the first time you've directed me.
Yes.
We've always worked together with me behind the camera.
On something
and now,
I've written.
Yeah,
Skirt Chasers, you had to
well,
direct
I'm
his-
just returning to acting. I mean, that's the thing. And this is, he did it. I mean, the party face moment was a moment. That was a couple of years ago now. And in literally a moment. And then this is another one. And we seem to come together, but it really is a tribute to you, Stan, and where you are and how you are open to what's going on in the world. And like I said, Wendy was a forward edge feminist,
Groundbreaking. Humanist. So she literally says, I'm not a feminist, I'm a humanist.
Yes,
and I
but
love that it's all humans. And in the plays, it's women and men that she writes about and the struggles, and they're all figuring it out at a time when the world was
afraid
changing.
of the word feminist.
Yeah.
And now we're living at a time where that word is much, it needs to be spoken again and again and again without anything held back. And that's why, to me, it's so relevant and pertinent that you would bring her work back up, because people don't know it. She's unsung in a way. It's been a while.
So this is like a whole discussion in itself. So Amanda, but to the point, and we've got to wrap up.
Yeah.
And we haven't, like, literally, we haven't even
pages.
But so my thing though, if you start using, especially now, because we're in this whole everything's
Me
a hot
too,
button,
and yes.
labels. So if you say feminist, there's a certain people like, yes, I'm going to celebrate that. But there's also like, oh God, we've already heard that. I'm not going to respond to that. Is it dangerous to say this is a feminist piece, or like you said, like a humanist piece? And I
think you can take out of it what you want. And for me, it's about the feminist. It really is.
But do you think that limits the audience goers? Do you think it
puts her perspective?
This is me.
And
it's
Raviv has his perspective and his character, and Lucy has hers. And from my perspective, it's as a writer, honoring a writer, and a writer that changed me as a writer. So we're all coming
and part of
keeping that
theater
all
history,
alive.
regardless of the thing.
Yes.
But it's also my personal journey in this town. And that's
coming back,
but that's what it speaks to. And boy, have I had a journey as a woman in Hollywood. And so that's why, with all of what's going on about women are standing up in a way and saying, and it's #MeToo, it's blah 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 blah, all those labels. Look, I was the lesbian actress for a long time, or the lesbian Amanda Bearse, or the lesbian director. You know what? That's the pendulum that needed to swing, because people needed to hear the word, see the word, gay, lesbian, for it to not have that charge. And so for me to then own feminism at this point in time, it's not charged in the same way, but it's about standing up and saying, yeah, I've experienced discrimination as a woman in this town, ageism as a woman in this town. It goes on. And the beauty of work that is as resonant as Wendy Wasserstein's work was and still is about owning all of it. And so
as messy as it is.
As we each come to it with our own sense of that passion.
Why don't you ever have me do the Q&A?
Come on Sunday,
Come on
January
Sunday.
12th, and do the Q&A.
Oh,
we have some great people coming, and we've had some.
I'll do it.
Beautiful.
Where can people come see the show?
It's at the Jewish Women's Theater, which is in Santa Monica at the Braid.
The Braid.
And the show.
I've never been there.
That's why you have to come. 12:30 is Uncommon Women and Others. 4 o'clock is Isn't It Romantic? We're almost sold out. And Heidi Chronicles is at 7:30. So come to one, come to all.
Can we do a Q&A at the end of the evening?
At the end of the evening, we're going to have a wonderful reception, maybe with some Equality vodka.
Yes.
If there's any left.
Equality vodka.
Are you going to DJ?
And I'll DJ, but
Someone
we have
love it,
we have
like-
a talk back, and there's some people that knew Wendy, and they come and speak to us, and then there's a little Q&A, and then we party.
Okay. We have to finish up the show. We could talk for hours and hours. We end the show, and we have to do this rapid fire. Kurt has to go home and play Harry Potter role play with his wife.
Fair.
That's actually a true story, by the way.
Ooh.
I crashed at his house once, and I was
wanna know
like,
who's
what
who.
is going
And
on?
what are you wearing?
Okay, so we're doing rapid fire, and then you can tell.
Nothing.
Nothing. You could paint that. Go over there.
Nothing. Okay, go on.
Expectorium, I don't need to see them. Okay. Who wants to go first?
Well versed.
Rapid fire.
Okay.
Amanda.
Go.
Amanda.
Go.
Oh, and at the end, you're supposed to give your social media handles. Girl, your
Now
social
that you
media.
have one, she's improving. We're working on it.
I couldn't find one.
I know.
No,
that's
I
all
quit
we're- yeah.
Facebook. I don't like Mark Zuckerberg,
Okay.
and I'm not on Instagram for the same reason.
Or
I
Twitter.
can't.
No.
I'm on Twitter. I just
Your last Twitter.
no.
But the Twitter
my
should
Twitter
not-
It was like a picture of your thumb. It's like,
It was not.
everyone having a good day? Retweet if you like this.
No, I posted about the show.
Thank you.
But I really, Facebook
I'm
is a
teasing
problem
you.
for
Yeah.
me.
No, Twitter's
Yeah.
a problem for me.
Okay. We got to wrap this up. You have to create a reboot of Married with Children, but it is called Married with Blank, and it features a family made up of blank.
Well, they were talking to Faustino about doing just that some years back because of the new reboot.
God, rapid fire,
phase.
Amanda.
What? Oh,
Quick, go.
Married with Blank. It was Married with Grandchildren
There you go.
about Bud Bundy's family.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
No, I'm not watching that either.
Okay, fine.
Like Married with Vodka. is something
Sorry,
like-
I didn't
okay.
know I had to be creative.
Biggest actor pet peeve while directing?
You mean who?
No,
Yes,
no.
name.
No.
Yeah, let's go that route.
No. But like one thing that they do, you're like, oh god.
They're late.
They classic sitcom you'd love to go back and star in, male or female role.
I'm a supporting player, and it would be the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Amanda, Scarlett Johansson wants to play you in a movie about your life. Do you let her?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do I get to be on set?
Can you sleep with her? No.
Stop it, Stan.
You could be the fluffer. Rapid fire. Strangest hobby or habit that we would never know.
Oh my goodness gracious. Of my own strange habit.
Yeah.
I match my underwear and socks with my clothes.
Me too. There you go.
Can we
Cheers.
see a little bit of your?
No,
underwear?
I'm that OCD.
Color coordinated,
and I, no,
yes.
and
Can
I
we
have
see a
been.
little-
Doesn't everyone do that?
I have. Okay, I could show you my.
I'm lucky if I wear underwear.
My socks are blue.
they got
and
a
my
little
shirt
blue.
Oh my
is
God,
blue.
that's totally true.
And my panties are white.
that's
So
right.
there you go. I've white.
Perfect. All right, Amanda, tell us where we can find you on social media.
Okay, I do have a website, and it's amandabearse.net. And then I also am Twitter, and it's Amanda, what is it, the underscore, it has to be twice. Bearse, shut it!
Sad.
Stop
And
it!
Bearse is Bearse.
But I love that you know how to say it right.
Yeah.
Rhymes with purse.
Amanda,
Purse.
it's
and
literally in
purse.
her email in bold. It's like, bitch, don't get it wrong. Amanda, I can't wait to have you back on the show, by the way.
Thank you. I'd
'Cause-
love to come back.
Yeah. Okay,
And
who's
she's now
but I
living
need-
down in Southern California.
Yeah, I moved
So-
back.
sometimes-
Yeah.
I know. I have.
I'll come visit you in
fucking
Seattle,
returned
though.
To this
No, but she's in Palm
scene of
Springs,
the-
and you're there all the
Oh my
time.
God, I'm in Palm
So
Springs. I just
Done.
hosted New Year's Eve.
Done
I was
and
the
done.
Grand Marshal this last year and for Palm Springs Pride. Yeah, I was. Hello. Of course, my mom had to sit in the car and whatever.
Oh,
okay.
your mom.
Well, we
Raviv.
will see each other there.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, cool.
Oh, we'll
do a
do-
show down there.
We'll do a.
We'll do a show.
I'm not invited, I feel.
No,
we'll totally
because you
do-
don't
None of us
ask
are.
him.
Okay. This is a whole other show. Okay, who's next?
Raviv.
Raviv.
Yeah.
You have to style one celebrity for the Oscars in your signature style that we know that you love. Who? What would the celebrity be, and what would you have them wear?
Stan Zimmerman.
I said celebrity. No. I don't mean that, but like one of the
A
one
big
of
a name.
Yeah,
Some people would know.
A big name.
like somebody you would love to transform in your gender fluid ideal.
Yeah. Boy. Adam Driver would have. I feel like there'd be some nice long flowy.
Oh, I like
It's
that.
like a long
Nice.
flow with. I feel like this is my own issues with Adam Driver, but maybe I'm just jealous. But like tall, long, flowy. I'm short,
Love
so I
that.
feel like the longer
Like
the
a
better.
Rita Hayworth type.
Yes, yeah.
Plus, that would really carrying on with your message. That would.
Yeah.
That's.
Or together. Let's do
Yeah.
that.
You are a time traveling. Raviv, you're a time traveling human. Try to picture that.
Okay.
What time period are you going back to live for 10 years?
Going back to, oh man, I definitely would love to visit. I don't have like a specific time, but I feel like visiting my ancestors would be pretty cool. And I don't know how exactly.
But
how
like,
far.
how ancient are we going? Are we going like 1920s? You can dress well, or
If
like.
I could like visit my ancestors in like the mid 1800s, just out of
Oh.
curiosity. For how long did you say I have to live there?
10 years.
10 years. All right, so yeah, the 1920s.
Yeah.
Switch.
much more fun.
I love all these HBO shows.
But that's the
But then the
documentarian talking a
depression,
little
then you
bit
get
about
to
going
the
back to
depression.
the
I
real
wouldn't
No, but I love all these
Yeah.
HBO shows set in history, and everybody's like clean. It was like, girl, there was
No.
poop in your own room. Okay.
Oh.
Raviv, what would the name of your biography be?
My mother herself.
That's from the play.
The Norman. Oh, I was gonna say the Norman Bates story. Strangest pre-theater ritual that you have, like before your theater show.
I like to find a closet. and
And
go
then come out
do
of
a
it.
voice.
Somebody's gonna clip that. Somebody's gonna put that on
That's
all.
not a good
That's like,
line.
yeah.
Change it.
I like to do warm-ups in like a weird dark space. I
Okay.
don't know why.
Okay.
But I also like to show up really early to a theater. I like to get there. If I'm
feel the
free, I like to get there as
you
early as
walk around on the
possible.
stage
Yeah,
and-
like hang out on the stage. I stretch on the stage. I like to like
Yeah,
play
that's
music
gonna
in
be
the
cut
dressing
together
room.
bad. Closet stretching.
I do a lot of like playlists for different dressing rooms. So I love building playlists for like knowing who my dressing roommates are.
Yeah.
But I like to spend a lot of time at the theater. So like as early as possible.
I love that. You are dabbling in audition for American Idol. What is your audition song? And they're doing musical theater night, by the way.
Oh, okay. What did I used to audition with? Mama a Rainbow.
That song is so weird because the great refrain is up here, but then the beginning is like
Super low.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know exactly.
I want to show range.
Can we hear a little bit of
Mama a Rainbow.
A Rainbow? Yeah.
No, absolutely
He's a
not.
drummer in a band, you know.
Yeah, I can
Yes.
drum it for
Yeah,
you.
he's
You
And
ready?
he
I'm
plays
gonna
the
try
Glock-
Mama a Rainbow.
And he
He's a really good
plays the
drummer.
glockenspiel.
Yeah.
You won't
There you
sing
go.
a little Mama Rainbow?
I'm sorry. I'll come back next time. I didn't warm up in the closet.
There you go.
Mama a rainbow.
Mama a sunbeam. Mama a room to spare. Oh, listen.
Raviv, where can people find you?
At Raviv Ullman. That's it. They've done all the things.
Wherever.
Yeah, I love it. All right, 2 left.
Who do you want?
Whoever wants to go.
There's more pressure than
I'll
you
go.
think.
I'll go. I go.
Lucy, you can go back in time and originate any theatrical drama, male or female lead. Which one is it?
God damn.
Since you studied theater at Brown.
I knew you were gonna swear. Yeah,
I
finally.
said damn.
Yeah, damn is swearing.
Like, maybe this is weird. But
No, I want to hear it.
like a death of a salesman. I want to play Willie
Okay.
Yeah.
Loman.
Oh, right. I like that.
Yeah.
Let's do a new version, but then maybe you're selling Mary Kay.
Yes.
Done.
Wonderful.
Oh, let's set it in the 50s. I'm loving this
I
idea.
love it.
That's really
Tim Burton does the
interesting.
artistic design.
No.
Stan rewrites it, and Amanda
No.
directs it.
Look at that put him.
Yeah.
Look at
He
his
doesn't
face.
want anyone else to
Directed.
direct it.
No,
That's a
his,
great
his
idea.
face fell when he said,
Yeah.
Directing.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, we arm wrestle for that.
As an
Whoever
actor,
wins the Tulsi bet.
as an actor, what is your biggest pet peeve in theater from your director? And you're doing a theater piece with a director. right?
No, I'll leave the room. Yeah.
I guess it's pet peeve from a director. Oh, I guess it's when the director doesn't really know what they want and they tell you something and then it's opposite of what I don't know. Pet peeve is
Yeah, you
That's
got
pretty
that.
good though. When the
Moving
director
on.
does-
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty
No,
good.
I mean it's like I had one director tell me once, this would be so good if it was a movie.
Oh my God.
I'm not even
God.
kidding. I'm not even
And
kidding.
what do you do with
and,
that?
He was not a good director. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Literally, I don't even know what to say. What is the title of the Hallmark Christmas movie based on your current dating life?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Are you dating someone?
Christmas with a ginger.
Oh.
How about Christmas
I like
with no
that.
soul?
Oh, gingerbread house.
Are you dating a ginger now?
Obviously, Stan.
Has
Hello.
has he come to the play yet?
No.
When is he coming?
I haven't
This
seen any
weekend?
Is he coming on
gingers.
Sunday?
No
Jewish
gingers in the
women's
house.
theater.
I'm gonna look for any red-haired man and be like, sir.
We'll see him on Sunday.
I love the
12th,
gingerbread
yeah.
house, though.
That's
I love
really
that.
good.
Lucy, what is your guilty pleasure TV show? Well, I guess we kind of.
Well, Housewives.
Yeah,
Housewives. Of course.
We're gonna
Of course.
do
Yeah. Okay.
And we've had many of them on the show. And
Oh, you have?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Worst onstage mishap.
Well, one time I was on stage and the person this was actually my scene partner's mishap, but he threw up on stage.
stage? Oh my
yes.
That's terrible.
Yes, it was.
Did you hear all of us? We're like,
Yeah. But you know what? We covered.
Into anything?
How do you
or just
cover
flat
that?
on the
On
stage?
you?
So what? No,
was a
thankfully
projectile.
not on me.
Did he find a place?
Stan has to take everything to
We
the-
were luckily sitting at like we were newscasters, and
Table.
he
under the
he-
desk.
he-
Yeah.
Was he sick or was he hungover?
barfed under. I think it was a bit of both, and then I did the whole thing where I was like, "Oh, you look right." I was just like,
And you were
know,
wiping
as
up?
his,
Oh, you're such
and
a
I
good scene
like,
partner.
yeah, no, I covered for him. It was funny.
What play was this?
Oh, it was
Death of a Salesman.
yeah.
The Mary Kay virgin. I love that idea, by the way.
Yeah. No, it was a play from college.
Okay.
Yeah. It was
Lucy, where can people find you?
at Lucy Watusi.
And I love that that's your handle. Do you know what it was like trying to find you? It was like
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should like make it
it
just
easier. Yeah.
No,
Lucy DeVito,
yeah,
but
yeah.
Lucy Watusi.
Lucy
name.
Watusi in Instagram.
Yeah,
but I
Instagram.
don't really do the others so much. But
Thank you, Lucy.
Hey.
Are the others? Are there really other? I mean, do people? Isn't that kind of the main one now?
Yeah, Insta. I still Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't.
You
think
have
so.
to do everything.
is it hard to find me?
Yeah.
Should I?
More. Yes, more.
What should I do?
Your posts
Go
are great,
home
by
and
the
then-
way. I love the picture of you like doing this, and it's like
When you post.
yeah.
I know I don't post
Yeah,
a
you just
lot.
post.
Yeah, it was
more.
like
Yeah.
1822. And there was a picture of Raviv when he time traveled back to in the mid 1800s.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
post
yeah.
the picture we took before we were wasted.
Yeah,
okay,
there
guys?
you go.
Great, great.
Except
You
for
can include
Amanda.
me in it once again. No,
I'm gonna superimpose your face.
we're taking pictures after the show real fast before
Okay. Yeah, he
Kurt.
does,
Kurt's
yeah.
getting a little.
Okay.
it's
He
a
wants to
little
go home and get naked. Yeah.
Yes, with his
Okay. Yeah. with
There are spells to cast people.
Stan.
Yeah.
You have to act in one of your own scripts. Which one is it?
meet and greet.
Oh, which part was your play?
The gay casting assistant.
No.
who?
I want to
Play
play that
one of
role
the
so bad. You're
women.
like, he's young.
Margot. What is it? What's her name?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Joanna
one.
Cassidy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did a reading at my house.
Yeah, she did.
Thanks to you.
Roseanne wants to star as a lesbian in a new show. She wants you to write it. Will you?
No.
Guilty pleasure sitcom that you watch right now.
Rachel Maddow.
I said sitcom.
Sitcom.
Yeah.
Sitcom.
Don't watch many sitcoms now. Sorry.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Do you watch?
I'm
any?
really obsessed with news right now. There's just so much happening that it's just.
Why?
I
What's
can't-
happening?
War happening
kidding.
tonight?
Yeah.
So I'm just
Straight men are wearing dresses. Like, it's
Yeah,
pandemonium.
yeah.
Biggest miscast sitcom role of any time, in your opinion? You're like, what? They got that?
Wow, miscast. That's a good. I've never been asked that question.
You're like,
I can't really miscast. I'm gonna pass on that one. I'm gonna have to think about that. I know that's terrible of me.
Are the rapid fire usually more rapid than this?
Yeah, they are.
and he's used to this, by the way.
It's
I know. I
Joey
can't-
Lawrence.
There you
in
go.
Joey.
In anything. No. No. Melissa more.
In
yeah.
Melissa. Yeah.
Mine is
I would
Will
say
Truman and Will
Melissa-
and Grace.
Is who?
Why?
In Will and Grace. He just
Who?
didn't have the charisma that. Anyway.
No, I thought that the four
Okay,
of them were
okay.
really great. Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a great
Yeah.
answer. That was a
Okay,
fun experience.
sorry.
You get to go back and rewrite one of your scripts. Which one is it?
The Flu of the Golden Girls. I know a lot of people like that one.
That's one of my favorite.
I know I get that all
That
the
better
time.
be a hot water
and
bag
it was,
under there.
There's some
Oh my God,
funny 1 or 2, 3 lines in it, but it was such a fraught week of that show. And all the other episodes we wrote on that were just kind of like mostly our first drafts.
Oh
and
my
then suddenly
God.
that was one of those. I'm like, and I was very young, and I'm like, wait, the whole room rewrites and adding all the stuff. And then there was a lot of pandemonium.
It's one of my favorite
I'm
episodes.
sorry, yeah.
It's amazing I could feel so bad and look so good. Like,
Well,
we
that
all know
there were
these.
some classic lines,
Yeah.
but that week was a very tough week.
All right, Stan, where can people find you?
ZimmermanStan.com.
It's backwards because StanZimmerman.com
Was
is a real
taken.
estate agent, by
Yeah.
the way.
Oh.
He's
It was
selling
taken too.
houses.
No,
Fuck him.
And
Fuck
then
him.
My AmandaBurst.com is taken too. That's
Terrible.
why I'm a net.
Yeah, it's- We don't
And
like
they
that.
tried to charge me $700 to
Don't
buy
pay
it.
it. Don't
that's,
pay
That's
it.
how people
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Oh my God, you guys. Okay, coming up on the show, of course, we have our 200th episode. We have 8-time Academy Award nominee and special makeup effects queen V. Neal's coming in. We have soap opera hunk and Ford versus Ferrari actor Sean Kerrigan is coming in. The first female DJ to be nominated for a Grammy, Tracy Young, is coming in. And the MTV boys are back. Joss Mooney and Rogan O'Connor. On the Rocks is the place to be every week. Kurt, we're going to get you home. All right.
Yes, get
Put
home.
out there. Thanks, Greg.
Yes.
Come look at our pictures at On the Rocks On Air on Instagram. We'll see you later. This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at ontherocksradioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.